My unique talents give me the ability to be assertive and diplomatic at the same time. I'm a person who will spike the conversation, who will get politics rolling and stimulate new questions and new answers to our current political dilemma facing our nation. I believe I have a keen understanding of the economy and how to improve where we're at relative to other nations around the world. I believe that our goal at America's Third Party was to create a very strong platform in which would propel the American people forward with new opportunities and a new possibility of creating a better nation, a cleaner environment, and less war. I believe that I am the best person for the job of President of the United States. My unique talents give me
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to America's Third Party. I'm David Sponheim. Today is Conspiracy Monday. We've got a lot of things happening. Fear of the coronavirus has triggered a downturn in the stock market. Major drop of 1,031.61. 1,031 points down. A 3.56% drop, which shows how skittish people are about this coronavirus and what's happening. Now, a lot of you have to ask the question, is this hype? Is this overly concerned people worried? Is this the spread of this disastrous disease that you feared is coming? And when you put it in perspective, the number of people that have died so far, 2,630 people that we know are dead, it does not seem any more dangerous than all of the other flus combined. So, traditionally in this amount of time, 3,000 people would have died of the flu in 3 months. So, the numbers are not that disturbing. But the fact that there is still a death rate going on, and this is just the people who are symptomatic, the 79,000. The asymptomatic, non-symptomatic people that are going to get symptoms later are growing, and that's concerning people, that the spread could still, be going on without people self-quarantining long enough. So that's a big factor that we have to look at. Harvey Weinstein has been charged and found guilty of a couple counts of rape, and he's now in a coronary care unit because he's having chest pain. So, yeah, but many people are happy that some justice is finally served. It's taken long enough.
Now you listen to me.
Steve-O wants us to sell, yeah. Well, is this going to be a panic stage like that on Trading Places?
I want trading reopened right now. Get those brokers back in here. Turn those machines back. Turn those machines back.
We'll see. We'll see if this is going to be another slide tomorrow. I mean, we got more time, right? It could be a big bounce back, too. That happened last week. There was a 461 point drop in the Dow, and then the next day it popped up nearly 200. So this is how they lure people in, too. Big sell-offs, and the people buy, and then they make money the next couple days. Now, Trump and Melania and Ivanka and Jared are all visiting the Taj Mahal. And their pose speaks volumes. Okay. See this, Taj Mahal, the pose. Okay. The self-appointed great man who still thinks that Russia didn't have anything to do with rigging the election and said so publicly again. Yeah, they're doing a little bit of a photo gathering. Yeah. That's special. Mark Zuckerberg. Okay. Well, I guess people really like the Taj, and I guess Trump aspires to being a super rich monarch of his own, yeah. Gwenny Lenny says, Dave, it's me. You haven't aged in 4 years since you missed your show. Yeah, Gwenny, I'm not affected by time the way people are. My program is designed to last 500 years using the existing fruit spray. Some people think that I'm a CGI image and I've guaranteed my existence forever. Ha! Maybe I'll build myself into a CGI image eventually. I mean, I'm sure there could be an interactive David someday, but I'm the real guy. I don't know. Harvey's having coronary problems right now. Harvey knows things about Bill Clinton, yeah, and Hillary. Harvey's on the inside, so for him to get time, what could happen with Harvey is he may get the Jeffrey Epstein treatment. You know, a fake death, and then pretty soon he's out there on his own, living the good life. Jeffrey Epstein pretty much got away with murder, you know. Nobody accused him of murdering children, girls, but there are missing girls from that island on the manifest. And he's still seen it. This was seen 20 days after he died. The more guilty Harvey Weinstein gets, the more paralyzed he seems to be. Yeah, it's true. Well, Harvey Weinstein might get a couple days in the New York PD lockup at the Metropolitan Correctional Center. They might put him in Epstein's room and then pretty much gets a free ticket out of there. Yeah, the weird thing is, this is going to be kind of strange to even talk about before I get into the whole bulk of the news. But there is a conspiracy theory that the missing tape of Epstein, the one that was lost that shows no coverage of the CCTV camera outside of his cell and the van that allegedly pulled in and pulled him out and got him away, that videotape was lost by a particular woman who was the prosecutor in the case, and it turns out it's James Comey's daughter. Now, I'd love for you to look at a link about that, and you could look it up right now, but every link on that on the internet is gone. It's completely wiped out. Every link to the you can try looking yourself, but James Comey's daughter, the prosecutor, lost the videotape of Epstein, and that entire story is gone. That's what's going on. It's gone. Wiped out. We're talking about total censorship of various streams of information that could very well lead to the truth, like Epstein's alive. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next subject. Bernie leading wins in Nevada, but still, South Carolina is still going to go to Joe. He's still leading there. Joe Biden's going to win South Carolina. But Castro trends after Bernie Sanders praises the Cuban leader's literacy program. This is worth looking at. Let's see what this video is. I've heard Bernie puts his foot in his mouth all the time. Foot and mouth disease. Let's see what he says here.
Guy too. I'm reading last night about the fall of France in the summer of 1940, and the general Renault calls up Churchill and says, "It's over." And Churchill said, "How can it be? You got the greatest army in Europe. How can it be over?" He said, "It's over." So I had that suppressed feeling.
So Sanders wins Nevada with 40% of the vote in the caucus, but this is a story about Sanders when he sparked criticism for praising the literacy program enacted by the Cuban dictator Fidel Castro. Yeah, I don't have that interview here. I thought I did, but oh, here it is. Yeah. praising the late Fidel Castro. So everybody's talking about it. I'll look at that a little bit later. Next item in the news, well, that was his disastrous answer. Yes, the problem when you play these links, they all go right back to... Okay, this is another thing on Bernie. He was asked what the price tag is for all these costly programs by Anderson Cooper, and Cooper says, do you know how much though? I mean, do you have a price tag for all of this? Sanders says, we do. I mean, you know, and the price tag is, it will be substantially less than letting the current system go. I think it's about 30 trillion. That's just for Medicare for all, are you talking about? Cooper said. That's just Medicare for all, yes. Do you have a price tag for all of these things? No, I don't. We try to, no, we mentioned making public colleges and universities tuition free and canceling all student debt. That's correct. That's what I want to do. We pay for that through a modest tax on Wall Street speculation. But you say you don't know what the total price is and you don't know how it's going to be paid for. How do you know it's going to be paid for if you don't know how much the price is? Well, I can't, I can't rattle off to you every nickel and every dime, but we have accounted for you. You talk about Medicare for all. We have options that they will pay for. He is lost. Bernie Sanders is lost. He absolutely doesn't know how to pay for anything at all. Yet he wants everything to be paid for. I mean, we've already seen Obamacare, America. We've already seen what it's done. It's cost nearly $2 trillion so far, if not more. It's $330 billion over budget every year. Yeah. And it's more than we need to spend. So they've already screwed up Obamacare. Now they want to create another plan. And believe me, this isn't Medicare for all. This is the single payer plan. They just rebranded it Medicare for all. It's going to tax all employees 7% and all employers 7% to pay for every person in America who's not working or an illegal alien. This is what the Democrats want to do. Now, Trump is doing the only thing he can do. I was the one that said that he would never be able to repeal Obamacare, and I was right. They tried 2 or 3 times, but Trump didn't bring on the mobile medical unit idea that I propose. He never talked about that. He was never a person to even mention it, except during the campaign, claiming it was his idea. But the mobile medical unit idea applied to our entire country's problems will bring out a big solution. We'll be able to get this thing rolling again. Obviously, getting people immediate health care at low cost is the critical thing that has to be fixed. So that's something that I'll talk about at another time. But Bernie doesn't have any real ideas. He doesn't know how he's going to pay for it. We've got scaled down costs that will lower the cost of health care to everybody in America. Bengalitis, you have a headless man walking through traffic? Seriously? Okay. Let's take a look. This is too weird. I want to bring this in. Okay, James Carville is speaking up about Bernie. I'll be looking at James Carville in just a second. Let's take a look at this one. Live leak. Here we go. Headless person. Okay, let's try that again. Well, that's pretty weird. Okay. Okay, is this the virus? That is really weird. Okay. It's either a really well done small guy pretending to be headless, or it really is the headless horseman who lost his horse. I don't have a video of the doctor in Sandy Hook right now. Yeah. And his response. I normally don't put those on cue for the show, being it's so old, but yeah. James Carville speaking out. You're a fool if you think Bernie Sanders can win by expanding the electorate. Here we go.
Our conversation with James Carville. First of all, James, I am more than familiar with the very formidable guys at Endymion down the street, so thank you for that mention. Secondly, go back. You just made the point very clearly that this race has, on the Democratic side, a clearly defined front runner. That front runner is Bernie Sanders. Ergo,
Correct.
what should that mean? What happens now?
Well, we're going to see a complete change in tenor on Monday night. If we don't, then our field is really dumb. I mean, Bernie Sanders is the issue. Anytime you become the front runner, I remember when we were the front runner in '92, we got all the heat, as we should. The New York Times wrote a whitewater story to get a single fact right, but at least they tried to cobble something together like they had a role to play in this. And we're plunging ahead. Meanwhile, the ABC Washington Post poll comes out. Buttigieg is plus 17 against Trump with college-educated women, and Sanders is at 2. These are the kinds of facts that people have to be presented with. We've got to, and I see that 2/3 of the Nevada caucus goers really want to win the election. I don't know if us in the media are sufficiently telling people what are the risks that you're running by doing this. I think voters need to really be appraised of what's going on here. Hopefully these candidates have the skill and are able to do this. We got a week to go before South Carolina.
Oh, hey, everybody.
48 hours later, you had Super Tuesday, and things are going to be happening furious and fast. And we got to gear up for an entirely different race than what you've seen before. The tenor it has changed in this race. The ground has shifted. Strategic imperatives are now different. We're entering a different time, and it's a very compressed and short time that we're in this time frame. So,
Okay, we get your message. Yeah, you really want Bernie Sanders out of the race because James Carville, he doesn't necessarily want. I know. Yeah, he doesn't want Sanders to win. A lot of people who are AIPAC friendly, he was a big Clinton supporter. A lot of people who are AIPAC friendly want Biden to win. Biden's Mr. AIPAC. He supports it. He's a, big supporter of AIPAC. Bernie is openly against Israel. And that's not something that the status quo in the country wants. The elitists don't want that. Personally, I think we have a strong need to remain allies with Israel. But I don't consider myself an ardent supporter of expansionism. And I certainly don't support a new world order, which a lot of people who are in that, it's almost like an extreme hatred. Like he's taken up every Palestinian cause and hates Israel for what has happened. We have to have objective views on that. Bernie is just too far to the left on Israel. So Carville's probably reacting to that, but...
So people had better get real. These campaigns better stay up late. They better be thinking about how they're going to put forward what they're about, how they're going to deal with the debate, how they're going to allocate scarce media resources.
Savvy sense that Bernie's going to burn out. The burn-tards are pushing him big right now early on, but he's going to burn out. The fact that Bernie is so divisive, we had that with Obama. You want to move to the center where I am. Okay, we've got something here on the 5G. We're going to take a look at that. Now, Conspiracy Monday kicked off with a discussion of Pizzagate and all the pedophiles in D.C. and the Netherlands and Belgium, in Hollywood. We talked about Harvey Weinstein getting rape charges. We've already addressed those issues, but I haven't really brought them up. We don't know exactly how much sentencing Harvey Weinstein's going to be facing, but he is currently having heart problems, so they're probably treating him for a coronary as we speak. So we'll kind of bring up on that a little bit later. In the meantime, let's take a look at the 5G network and see what's going on there. Okay, we got a big video for tonight that draws the link between the 5G experiment that went on in Wuhan in November to this recent coronavirus outbreak. And you're wondering, what? Huh? Yeah. Well, one of our theories is that it's showing deaths from the 5G network. That's one of our theories we've got running here. The coronavirus theories. Yeah, it's a kind of a weird assembly of things that we're trying to figure out what is the cause of all this. Number 3 would be it's dangerous bioweapon. That's the conspiracy theory. And we've got a lot to back that up. Mostly just hearsay. The standard theory is it's standard flu. And it's, fairly big, growing as we speak. And the number one question mark everyone has right now is this a hoax? Is it all a hoax? Yeah. Are they trying to push us toward vaccinations? We don't know what city's going full 5G in America. We do know that they experimented in China in the Wuhan area. We do know that. Now, when I say it's a dangerous bioweapon, that's a weird conspiracy theory. Yeah. The number 2 answer is the majority view. It's a standard flu that's gaining ground. That's the standard belief. But the possibility that it happened at the same time the 5G network popped up is addressed in this movie that I'm going to play tonight. So what's really going on? Are we being tricked? That's the theme of this movie, and I'll play it later tonight. I'll add it to our lineup. We start movies at 10 o'clock if you guys happen to want to catch our show in the evening. I run a full service here. We're an online interactive virtual chat room. We've been around for 11 years. I started back in 2008 with a write-in candidacy against Barack Obama, and we've been going strong ever since. It's been amazing, nonstop. We're the longest running broadcast on the internet across the globe. Regular broadcast.
Hi, good morning. As you can see, I'm still wearing the shirt I wore last night and yesterday at Blog TV. It's exhilarating to do Blog TV. We've been having an incredible time. This is in fact day 54.
That was 54, day 54. That was 11 years ago. Yeah, actually more like 12 years ago now. So, yeah, it's kind of amazing. And it's, I'm empowered by the overall energy I get from the viewers and the chatters and the link contributors. I'm empowered by the fact that we are being censored. Had I not thought that we were being censored all these years and seen my numbers being artificially kept down on YouTube and Twitter and being kicked off networks unnecessarily, I wouldn't be as dedicated to what I'm doing. But whenever you see this kind of thing happen and this type of, censorship having happened, you really kind of freak out. That's why I am becoming the new Max Headroom. So, hey, I'm here. It's all happening, whether you like it or not. We're going to take down the two-party system eventually. But we have to provide really good alternatives to people who are concerned about their two-party vote being meaningless. At this point, any vote is meaningless because our government has virtually taken over. Our system has been taken over and hijacked by people that fund these people for re-election. Yeah, these people who are getting reelected in the two-party system are real prostitutes for money. Okay. Drag King, you got some stuff? You got an aging failure over there? Okay. And a latest coronavirus map. Okay. I'll take your latest coronavirus map and double you with my coronavirus map. All right. Swirl it. This is pretty funny. It's the Tasmanian devil turned into a cartoon. Any of you don't remember the Tasmanian Devil, but he was a big star of cartoons and Warner Brothers, I think it was. Swirl it! And then it's got a big finger in the back. That's pretty funny. Okay, I'm not sure where you're going with that. Oh, Mickey Rourke and Axl Rose look like a lesbian couple who own an antique shop in Portland. This is hilarious. Mickey Rourke and Axl Rose. I'm sorry, that's hilarious. Look at this. Mickey Rourke and Axl Rose look like a lesbian couple who own an antique shop in Portland. Well, that's funny. I mean, it got me laughing, kind of. Anyway, let's move on. Latest word on the coronavirus. Here is the map that everyone's freaking out about. There it is. The big red dot. There's a reason why they called it Red China, because they knew that they'd be using a red dot to describe the pandemic. No, actually, it's communist red. They used to have a little red book that I think they still hand the red book out. You have to read that. It's required. Yeah, they look very much alike now. I think when you have plastic surgery, eventually you look like the other guy with plastic surgery. Well, I'm not going to freak out. I mean, yeah, it's seemingly spreading throughout the area. I'm going to go look at Italy right now. We just checked Bangkok, Thailand, and there's no instances in Bangkok, Thailand, but there's 35 in Thailand, 21 of which are recovering. That's good. One in Phnom Penh, none in Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon, formerly Saigon. Yeah, and none in Da Nang. Or no, one in Da Nang. No, 16 confirmed in Da Nang, but none directly in Bangkok. Okay. Let's go to Italy. It's concerning a lot of people that Italy is now becoming a problem now, too. Iran is still big. 61 confirmed, 12 deaths in Iran. It went from 2 a couple days ago to 12 people dead in Iran. I know this is what you really want to look at. And Rome, oh my gosh. This is probably what triggered the stock market to go haywire today. Yeah. Rome has 229 confirmed, 7 deaths already in Italy. So that's what's really freaking people out, is this red mark here. Meanwhile, back in America, we've got a big spike in the middle, 36 now confirmed in the middle of the U.S., outside of Oklahoma City, but no deaths. Wow. Some in Chicago. Okay, so our numbers just increased dramatically in the middle of Oklahoma. I would say the American problem is probably close to 70 infected to 100 infected. No, Clear Whidbey is an effort to keep Whidbey electromagnetically safe. It's a group of people who actually want to turn our island into a kind of an EMF-free zone. But people with cell phones already have problems with reception in certain areas. So the people in the south end of the island really want to keep the lights down too, and they want to make it so that you can see the stars better. And yes, Zenu says, you're getting millions of viewers, why aren't you featured? Zenu, Mark has been censoring me for at least 7 years now. I've explained that over and over and over again to you. Mark can shut down my viewership there anytime he wants. He can toggle it down. Mark has been working in cahoots with people funding him. That's what I've heard. Yeah? Ask yourself, how does Mark pay his bills? And the answer is, no one really knows. Yeah, there's no revenue stream that I see on his site. I don't see a revenue stream. Tappan said Mark said he's getting paid to censor David. I saw his Rolex. Whatever, I believe you. Ironically, I've got that confirmed many times from people who talk about Mark making money. Hi, Sarah. So we've got confirmation the 1,000th human died of the coronavirus on February 10th, 2020. We've got a video of that to that effect tonight. And how does it compare to SARS and other viruses? Well, the stock market took a big dive today. It dropped 27,960. Let's get Sarah in the show a little bit.
3 points.
3
percentage.
3.56% down. So slightly more than 3.5% down. Yeah, it was a real big drop, and they're assigning the blame to the coronavirus. They're claiming that it's the fear that now Italy has lots of cases, just popped up in Rome, and 7 dead already in Rome. Yeah, there's also that crypto mining thing, CoinHive, he's got on his site. And Mad Dog wanted to show us all his metal detecting video. Let's play that so he doesn't keep posting it in the room while you're in here.
Dog, I'm out here metal detecting with my favorite spots. Oh, hey everybody, it's me, Mad Dog. I'm out here metal detecting with my favorite spots. With my new Vanquish. Check it out, my new Vanquish. Metal detecting from Mine Lab. There's your control panel. Oh, hey everybody, it's me. Hey, all right, good to see y'all. I want to shout out to David John Sponheim, my buddy Eric, Mad Cat Fluffy, DT Allura, everybody at the ATP. Y'all have a good one. Peace. Hey everybody, it's me, Mad Dog.
Okay, we'll get back to Mad Dog in just a bit, I guess.
That's his metal detector, and what's that? Like a digging tool or some kind of tool to pick things up?
It's a digging tool and a router, and I guess you can look at it all later. I'm not going to comment beyond that. I've got my lineup of things here that I want to...
Hi, all. Max and everybody.
Okay.
I wonder if Digger Dave goes metal detecting as well.
Yeah, wonder. Yeah, if you guys can find something on the beach, you might score a ring or some gold or something. You never know. I heard about the guy who died, the rocket guy. Yeah, it was a very sad day for him. A Daredevil has died. We saw his video earlier in our pre-show. I'm not going to play it for you, but basically he took off in his own man-made rocket, and the parachute deployed ahead of time. And this man is no longer alive. He was a flat earther. Mad Mike Hughes, he was planning on getting to the dome and trying to take a picture of the dome at the outside of the Earth's
and his
surface.
rocket crashed into the dome, and then he died.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, you could say that his rocket crashed into the dome, and then he passed away. So he died doing what he wanted to do. So Zeno believes that it was purposely, it was sabotaged. His parachute was sabotaged. Do you believe that? Wow. Reports from activists in Renton and Whidbey Island that Puget Sound is investigating the advanced metering infrastructure. Really? Well, they're making rulemaking issues. Maybe I should get more involved with this group on Whidbey Island.
Yeah, sure.
I'll look at that later. But right now, I guess Sarah's going to take over, and I'm going to do a little dinner. We got some funny stuff to show you later tonight.
He has safemeters.org. He has a link.
Safemeters.org. Okay, good. Thank you. Wow, okay. Lots of stuff to talk about already. I'll be back. Thank you. You can go to right or left. I think to the right is new stuff. To the left is old stuff.
Okay, thank you.
No, it's just I don't do anything on the island after I ran for public office and had 90% of my signs stolen and smeared in the media. I don't really do a lot of things locally. I gave it my best shot, and I got 4,300 supporters who voted for me. But bear in mind, we're up against a wall, a conspiratorial wall against third parties out there right now. I proved it in my election.
Is amazing. I kind of twisted my body a little bit, but other than that, my life is amazing. I woke up this morning, I was looking out of my kitchen window, and I was looking up at, they're called the Olympic Mountains, and they were covered with snow, and fortunately there was no snow right where I live. It was just off in the far distance of the Olympic Mountains, and I remember thinking, I had always wanted that when I was younger. I was like, when I grow up, I want to have a mountain view out of my kitchen window. And at the time, the mountains I knew were the Sierra Mountains, and I had a view from like my high school of Arrowhead, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good view, or something better. And now I'm like looking out at the Olympic Mountains. I'm like, this is way better than the Sierra Mountains window. And so then that was really, it was so nice to just wake up and think that. Thanks, Ron Brown. You're watching us. Good deal. Thank you, ATP, watching from the live stream. Awesome. And then I went to work and I thought, my goodness, I love what I do. I have a great job. I really love what I do. I'm so lucky to have a great man in my life who loves me, and I was just thinking about how I'm so blessed with my life. I do dance. When there's some good music on, yes, I will dance. I don't want to know, Drag King. That's fine.
Did you get those beans in the ground today?
I did, and then today we planted some peas, snap peas in the ground. So that's going to be delicious. And I even showed kids, my students, myself eating a snap pea. They're like, oh, can I have one? I said, maybe I'll bring you each one next week so they can taste them. They're just so delicious. I'm not married. I like not being married, which is really good. I don't believe everything David believes in, and there's quite a few things I don't believe that David believes in, but I really enjoy where I live with David. I really love my community, and I feel really blessed. I know certain teachers that like to teach in the district I teach in, and they have to drive, some of them have to drive an hour or more to come and teach where I've done. So it's really, I just feel really blessed. I know, you're right, DTV. And I don't believe that, Pirates. I do not believe that. Yeah, I don't believe people need to get married either. I don't think that's a necessary thing. With marriage, one of my big reasons for not getting married is I don't believe that the government should be involved in people's personal relationships. I believe like marriage should be about love, at least that's what, but it's really about legalities, about who owns what and who shared community things, and who's going to pay the bills and who's going to pay the taxes, and how does that relate to Social Security and things like that. I do love that David cooks for me and cleans the house, and then he also cleans my car. He's like, oh, I think I need to wash your car. And I mean, I do love all of those things that David does. You don't want to marry just because you hate special occasions. Okay. Well, that's all right. I think it's fine to not get married. All right. World Health Organization raises alarm as the virus spreads in parts of Middle East and Europe. There's a new Russian election meddling claims, more completely false leaks from Adam Schiff, according to Fox News. When you meet a woman on a first date, 99% will get you a bill request to be paid. They'll say, hey, you're taking me on a date, buy my dinner and pay my electric bill. Really? Wow. Trump is sending a coronavirus budget request to Congress. $2.5 billion to combat coronavirus. My goodness, that's a lot. Facts on cheese. Morning cafe. Yeah, that would be an expensive date. A California couple lost in the woods survived from drinking from a puddle and eating ferns. Wow. They were rescued 8 days after getting lost during a hike that they went on. Wow. Ha! Florida Democrats are in a uproar after Sanders had a Cuba comment, something about defending Fidel Castro's socialist Cuba. Okay, as you know, that's what he is. He is more aligned probably with Castro than most Americans, at least his way of thinking. Your mother kept asking you to pay your bills until she passed away? Yeah, well, you know, she's your mother. Maybe that's true. In a Supreme Court dissent, Thomas cites Thomas in arguing to overturn a decision authored by Thomas. Oh, that's funny. If you say so, Daryl. In South Carolina, Biden's lead is narrowing with Sanders and Steyer on his heels. The Atlantic says you're likely to get the coronavirus. The good thing is it's 2%. It's 98% live from it. So he is 77, but he is as old as Bloomberg is 77, and so is Warren. Okay, Jar Jar, you're day 4 in quarantine, still being treated well, and they're giving you ice cream. All right, he spent So, Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer admitted Sunday that he has spent more than $8,600 on cheesecake over the last 10 years. He says, well, yeah, because he gets them as gifts. He actually does bets with them, like, ooh, who's going to win this football game? Wisconsin cheese? I'll bet a block of your Wisconsin cheese against my junior's cheesecake.
What did Schumer say?
he has admitted that he has spent more than $8,600 on cheesecake in the last 10 years.
That's not good for his arteries.
But he says he's not eating it all himself. He like gets them as gifts. He really likes his cheesecake company, so he gets them as gifts. And sometimes, like he says, and sometimes I even use them for bets. Like, I'll bet you're a wheel of your Wisconsin cheese versus a cheesecake from this one company.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Is he using tax dollars to do it, or?
I don't think so.
He's paying it himself.
Yeah. Well, they did have his campaign offered tickets to supporters instead, according to the Post. He wasn't sure how many he ordered. So, anyway, I think that's cute, funny, whatever. I'm glad that you were able to access they give you internet access. That's very good. You've been diagnosed with coronavirus. You say you're in a quarantine in a hospital in Boston. Seeing you keeps my spirits up. You're young and healthy and expected to recover. And hospitals have Wi-Fi now. That's true. And how did you contract it? Where were you? What happened? How did you contract this coronavirus? Former NASA mathematician Katherine Johnson died. She was one of the hidden figures at NASA during the 1960s space race. She lived to be 101 years old. I know, it is 2020, you're right. A runner broke his ankle on a remote trail in Washington State. He crawled 8 hours just to call 911. Wow. You've not left Massachusetts in the last 5 months, and a week and a half ago you ordered Chinese food? And you think you got it? And then how did you know you had it, or like what were your next steps? A gunman opened fire at a Houston flea market, wounding 7 people. You had flu-like symptoms. You went to your normal doctor, and he sent you to Massachusetts General for testing, and you tested positive. So then how are they, if all of this is true, and you went and you were put into this bubble room, if all of this is true, how many people did you have contact with between when you ordered the Chinese food and when you went to Massachusetts General? And how many people were in Massachusetts General? And anyway. Yeah, well, I tend to think so, Badger, but whatever. The best feeling in the world is getting up in the morning with no flu symptoms when you're over a flu. Okay. They say they believe the virus has peaked in China, but it still could trigger a global pandemic. March 1st is when people are returning from Chinese New Year. Interesting behavior. Yeah. Very interesting. Okay. Off to go see episode 5 of Picard. See ya. Oh, if you're still there, what, where is Picard playing? Like, do you have to have a certain account somewhere? Yeah. Mission Impossible 7 movie production has halted because of coronavirus concerns. Discover Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi certified. Wi-Fi 6. Wi-Fi certified 6. That's beyond 5G. And introducing Wi-Fi 6E. Wi-Fi operation in the 6 gigahertz frequency band. Brings a common industry name to identify devices that will offer the features and capabilities of Wi-Fi 6 extended to the 6 gigahertz band following regulatory approvals. It will utilize up to 14 additional 80 megahertz channels and 7 additional 160 megahertz channels. Orthogonal frequency division, multiple access, effective as their multi-input, multi-output. MIMO, multi-user, and MIMO allows more 60 megahertz channel utilization capability, increases bandwidth to cover greater performance with low latency. 24 quadrature amplitude modulation mode. 1024 QAM increases throughput for emerging bandwidth intensive uses by encoding more data in the same amount of spectrum. Wow. All right, I'll leave it for David. I am not a bot. Sure, Jar Jar, like, that's happening. Do I have a brother? Yes, I do. I do have memories. The CGI is so real. You remember when I danced? I don't know about that. I do like to dance. They detected Mars quakes on Mars. It is seismically active. And they've discovered the first known animal that doesn't need oxygen to survive. It doesn't breathe? Spores. Okay, I'll show you guys this. This is the first animal on Earth proven to have no mitochondrial genome and no way to breathe. Whoa, aren't those wild looking? Those are wild looking. These are spores of the parasite Salmonella. It's not like salmonella, but Salmonella. They swim under a microscope. Those alien eyes are actually stinger cells. One of the few features this organism hasn't evolved away. The parasitic blob known as Henugua salminicola sinks its spores into the flesh of a tasty fish. It does not hold its breath. That's because it's the only known animal on Earth that does not breathe. Wow. Unlike all other known animals, it has no mitochondrial genome, the small but crucial portion of DNA stored in an animal's mitochondria that includes genes responsible for respiration. These are microscopic swimmers distantly related to jellyfish. They've once looked a lot more like its jelly ancestors, but has gradually evolved to have just about none of its multicellular traits. They've lost their tissue, their nerve cells, their muscles, everything. And now we find they've lost their ability to breathe. Wow, but they are wild looking. The nucleus of each of these spores glows green under a fluorescent microscope. Although microscopy and genetic sequencing, the study authors learned that this is the only known animal with no mitochondrial DNA. Wow. That genetic downsizing likely poses an advantage for parasites, which thrive by reproducing as quickly and as often as possible. They have some of the smallest genomes in the animal kingdom, mixozoans. Wow. While this one is relatively benign, other parasites in their family have infected and wiped out entire fishery stocks, making them a threat to both fish and commercial fishers. All right, that is very interesting. I like reading about science. I guess they do, Hank. Yeah. Yeah. I guess they do require some kind of gas for breathing. David will like this. Researchers put cloud seeding to the test. They say we really can control the weather, but it may not be very useful. Cloud seeding works, sort of. New experiments offer the strongest evidence to date that spraying clouds with powder can cause more snow to fall. However, the problem is making it work in practice. Not every cloud can be seeded, and we don't know why. It's also clear when it would be cost effective. It has existed as a technology since the 1940s. In theory, it should make more rain or snow. They spray a powder like silver iodide into clouds. Each particle acts as a seed for an ice crystal, which grows around it and then falls as precipitation. However, despite decades of research, it's been difficult to show that cloud seeding works. Experiments have compared what happens to clouds that are seeded with those that aren't, but it hasn't been possible to get a large enough sample size to control for natural changes. The weather is very variable. It changes all the time, and it's very complicated. That has now changed thanks to a project called Snowy, Seeded Natural and Orographic Wintertime Clouds, the Idaho experiment. In the 20 days in January 2017, they seeded orographic clouds, which form when the air is forced up over a mountain. They sprayed silver iodine from an airplane, which flew in a zigzag to create a distinctive pattern in the sky. They used radar to look for this pattern in the clouds, placed mobile radars on mountain ridges to scan for snowfall in places where normal weather radar wouldn't reach. On 3 days, the team found clear evidence of snowfall from clouds that had been seeded. On the ground, this amounted to a light dusting, like 0.05 to 0.3 millimeters deep. That's ridiculously small. Crucially, the team has estimated the total volume of water produced from this, and the most successful experiment on January 31st released snow equivalent to 340,000 cubic meters of water from the clouds after 24 minutes of cloud seeding. The least successful day was produced by 20 minutes of seeding and produced 123,000, produced 282 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of water. So they can increase precipitation about 10%. They collected data in over 20 cases, but they could only demonstrate the effect on 3 days when there's no natural precipitation. And when there's background precipitation forming, it may be much more complicated. It's very complicated, but all right. Oh, they have 13 views of the moon in 4K. Wow. Oh, NASA's hiring new astronauts for a moon mission. Do you want to be an astronaut? Is that your dream job? I always thought I wanted to be an astronaut. They're looking for new astronauts to reach the south pole of the moon by 2024. They want the first person to reach it to be a woman with a male also joining on the mission. Applications are set up to open in just over a week on March 2nd. The new moon program will help with preparations for the Mars missions as well. There are currently just 48 astronauts in the astronaut corps and just 350 people being trained under the NASA astronaut program since 1960s. Wow. We're asking all eligible Americans if they have what it takes to apply beginning March 2nd. So you have to have, it will require at least 1,000 hours of pilot in command time in jet aircraft, a master's degree in STEM, 2 years of work toward a PhD in a related STEM field, a doctorate of medicine or osteopathic medicine, or completion of a nationally recognized test pilot program. So, since I'm not a pilot, it doesn't count. So if I could go back and become a pilot, I don't know if I really want to fly. The job role will be part of the Artemis mission to set up a base on the moon. It will be the first human spacecraft to land on the moon in the 21st century. That looks like fun, but you have to be a pilot to do it. I know, I think it's ridiculous to call it a hoax, but whatever. All right. They're asking all women to apply. But I need to go, now I need to go become a female pilot if I want to be a NASA astronaut. Well, I always knew that was the deal, right? I'm sure David would not want me to go anyway. Yes. Will Obama's move to stop Bernie? How so? The one thing that might stop Bernie is a very, very long shot, which is if no one drops out by Super Tuesday, is it even possible to stop him? He says he doesn't think it is. But they say if the Obamas endorse someone else, then maybe that could stop him. I agree, Waxer, you do want the best person for the job. They were saying they want a woman and a man, male astronaut, so it's not, they don't, anyway. And Bloomberg is comparing a media onslaught against Bernie. Biden is holding on to a narrow lead in South Carolina. Well, right here they say in a shocking poll, a Sanders-Warren ticket would be Trump-Pence, 48 to 45%. Very tight margin. Cardiology director says there's one heart measure Sanders could disclose but hasn't. He's resisted calls to release additional medical information in the wake of a heart attack he suffered in October. We've released as much medical information as any other candidate, he said. When pressed on whether he would release more, he said, "You can start releasing medical records and it never ends." But Richard Kovacs, president of the American College of Cardiology, says he could release one simple indicator of his heart health. They inserted 2 stents in an artery and he was hospitalized for several days. After promising to release comprehensive records of the procedure, his campaign balked, saying, no, we're not going to release any more information. They said they released a full report of the heart attack. But this really omits a standard measure of his heart health. The indicator, called the left ventricle ejection fraction, is provided to any patient after a heart attack. It's a measure of how much blood volume the heart pushes out of an individual heartbeat, and it correlates with the risk for future cardiac events and mortality rate. Normally, the heart will push out 60%. If you go down to 40 or 50%, they regard that as a mild impairment of the left ventricle. 30 to 40% would be moderate. If you get to 30%, that would be severe. And Sanders and his campaign have not revealed what that number is. Okay. They say if he could release his ejection fraction, that would help medical doctors be able to see if he would have be at risk for another one. Wow. They say Pence's 2024 presidential campaign has already begun. And the startup boom is deflating.
I'm just getting the cat some food.
That might be a different person. I don't think David has a LinkedIn account at all. So maybe it's a different person with that name. I'm not going to sign into my LinkedIn account right now. All right. A crackdown on immigrants who use public benefits has gone into effect. And legal immigration is beginning to also go down. Or go down. Assange is fighting extradition to the USA in court. They claim he's a suicide risk. They think robots will develop freedom of thought in order to escape human control. To reduce debt, Cumulus Radio considers selling 250 tower sites. That's pretty interesting. I should see if I want to buy a tower site.
Yeah, I have a kind of a chicken tamale for you on the stove.
Oh, thank you.
Some veggies, and I got it from the garden. Pulled up some Swiss chard and some vegetables. And chicken. Okay. Weinstein's bail was revoked. He was handcuffed shortly after the jury found him guilty of sexual assault of former production assistant Mimi Haley in 2006 and raping Jessica Mann. His lawyers are asking that Weinstein, 67 years old, be sent to the jail North Infirmary Command because he's having some chest pains. Okay. Yeah, I guess he's under a lot of stress now that he's been called out as a serial rapist.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm gonna...
That's not true. I have yet to see any of the telemetry data from the NASA regarding the moon landings, and we've requested. They have requested.
On March 2nd, I can apply to be an astronaut.
Oh, great! You could work at that facility.
However, it's highly unlikely because they want someone with 1,000 hours of experience as a pilot in a jet.
Oh, in a jet, yeah. Well, you have
I have
online
zero experience of flying anything.
Zero experience. She has like a series of things going on right now, and we're not making any Illuminati signs here, so.
Just said zero.
I know. I do the zero sign like this.
Like the same, whatever.
Well, no, I do it because they think I'm supporting the Illuminati.
They think this is a sign?
Yeah, they do.
Whatever.
Anyway, enjoy what's on the stove. It should be ridiculous, but
that is ridiculous.
You have you spent some time on our Air Force Xbox 360 program. I mean, you're really good at that, so you may want to put that in your resume.
I could go to flight school, and then for someone who doesn't like to fly, I don't know about that much.
Yeah, flying, and there's so many potential hazards with flying. That's why I don't fly. Plus, I don't like to get groped at the airport.
I could go to flight school, and then I could become a pilot, and then I could...
You can do a lot of things, yeah. Anything's possible. You have infinite possibilities in your life. Anyone does, really. If you put your mind to it, I suppose you could, have a wonderful life. Bernie, who's he going to choose as VP? Well, for one, Bernie he's got to get his numbers right. Nobody knows where his money's coming from. He himself doesn't know. He says it's going to cost $30 trillion. for Medicare for all. 30 trillion. Wait a second. We're already 23 trillion in debt and counting. Where are you going to get the 30 trillion for Medicare for all? I have a really good program we've already set up. We laid it out there for everybody to look at, over the past couple days. I call it Medicaid for all. And we already have this paid for. It's already in the works. We can always fall back on Medicaid for all, but with our mobile medical units, we'll be able to provide instantaneous support for people all around the country. As soon as we started talking about Medicaid for all, I'm getting drop frames. Look at that. They're censoring me. They're trying to DDoS me right now. No, Sarah's not being considered for Bernie. Bernie hasn't contacted us. Bernie is not very friendly to Israel. I've openly said I won't take AIPAC money, but I don't see Israel as our enemy. Bernie acts like they are, and that's a problem. But Bernie's biggest problem is he can't come up with where the money's going to come from. All these programs he's promising, he has no idea where the money's coming from. This is a typical socialist. Tax and spend, suck money out of people's pockets, and then break the back of the economy, which is already half broken as it is. Bernie loves Castro. He loves everything about Cuba. Yeah. Now, I would have opened a door to trade with Cuba, but I don't love Cuba. I don't love their education program. No. They have a lot of doctors. We could actually hire some of their doctors, but I don't endorse what happened under Fidel Castro. I mean, it was very isolationist. And he embraced the Soviet Union so much that they, virtually owned parts of their operation there. We really can control the weather, but it may not be very useful. What? These kinds of debunking stories from the new scientist. Oh, sure, yeah. Now that the cat's out of the bag, we know that we can control the weather. North Korea is wise to remain North Korea. There's not one single case of coronavirus in North Korea right now. Isn't that wonderful? Whereas our president let all these coronavirus victims into the country, and now he's saying publicly that he was never asked or consulted on this. You had every chance, Trump, of stepping up and doing the right thing and stopping travel from China 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. No, I haven't touched her. So, yeah, this is typical crap. Now they're saying, oh yeah, cloud seeding works, sort of. They're finally starting to admit that all of this is possible. But now they're saying, it's not very useful. Meanwhile, our entire weather is being systematically engineered by these bioweaponists. They are dumping chemicals on us. Virtually toxic chemicals. Dun, 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 dun. These are the typical canisters that they put on board these planes. Yeah. I mean, this is the net product. We're not making this up. It really is happening. So why would they be doing it for so long? Because they want to create the illusion that climate is changing super fast. Now, if we wait 200 years and we all flatulate incessantly and eat meat that flatulates incessantly, yes, there might be a slight temperature difference in the planet in 200 years. But the way they're doing it with these mass chemicals being dumped on us, they want it to happen in 5 years. You see, that comes to my most important two issues that are being promoted. Essentially, the reason why they haven't fixed our medical system is because they want to rob us as we get sicker and sicker. The reason why the FDA and all the different agencies, the EPA that are designed to protect our environment, haven't fixed the environment or even tried to, because they want us to die of toxic waste poisoning. Really, at the bottom of every conspiracy is a theory. And in most conspiracies, the bottom of the rung is depopulation. Their goal is to get rid of the people the have-nots, the people that don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. That would be most of us in the world. Depopulation, that's their number one agenda. Yeah, and that's why they're doing it. That's what Agenda 21 is. That's what Agenda 2030. They even say they want to reduce the population by 95% by 2030, Agenda 2030. So that's one of the big things that drives conspiracy theory. There's another thing that drives conspiracy theory and brings up questions about these elitists that continually maneuver behind the scenes, is they want immortality. Yeah, their goal is to somehow want to live forever, and they even talk about transhumanism and you know, mating with an android. Immortality means they want to live forever. So there's both of these are the kind of the arteries of conspiracy theory. The reason, you know, people are accusing Podesta of human trafficking, allegedly, is because he somehow creates babies and drains their blood and serves pills up to the rich people where they eat babies so that they can somehow live longer. That's the sickest thing I can ever think of. But all these are allegations that spread, instantly getting calls because they don't want me to talk about Pizzagate. Yeah. Okay, there's not going to be a controversy between Awesome Carl Show and regular Awesome Carl Show. You're both awesome, okay? And there's only one true Awesome Carl, and he hasn't even come into the show for a long time. Ever since he found out Rodney was coming in here attacking him verbally, he doesn't want to come back. Remember when Carl used to call in and say, "Hey, it's me, Awesome Carl." And then Rodney would come in and go, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?" "Yeah, living large." And then acting like Carl was some ridiculous nobody. Yeah. People felt demoralized, Rodney. They didn't feel like they were welcome with your harsh criticism or fat shaming or whatever you do. Let's go back to something more important besides immortality, okay? Yeah, we all know that that's not possible, but they don't. They believe they can extend their life by maybe 50 to 60 years by having organs replaced. Oh, wait a second. We got a call from somebody important here. Hey, go ahead. I thought you died, Hoppy. What happened?
Dave, it's me, Hopper.
I thought you passed away, man.
Hey, Dave.
Oh, it's Rodney.
Dave, seriously, though, when are we going to get started with this whole depopulation thing? The fucking globe is just like ready to burst at the seams, all these scumbags on the planet. When can we get this thing rolling?
See, this guy represents the elite mentality. This is exactly what we're talking about. This guy who's... Yeah.
Yeah, Dave.
That sucks, man.
Dave,
you don't even care about common people that are on the street. You want to just, like, flush them down the toilet. What's wrong with you?
That's correct.
Why did you become...
Okay.
How did you become so callous?
Ever since I started watching this show, I've had a whole new, like, spin on things, you know what I mean?
I've never encouraged that, man. I want you guys to think about maybe extending the life of all of you naturally, not, you know, some weird way, and maybe have more people on the planet with more distribution.
Fucking hate, dude. The market was down over 1,000.
No, I know. I talked about it already. I mean, we've been there, but did you lose some money is what I'm saying.
A little bit, but
I think everyone sucks and the world should be depopulated. And, you know, I don't know. I just don't know how sellable that idea is. People don't want to go away. They want to stay here.
Hey, Dave. Dave, when's Sarah coming on?
She'll be on in about an hour or so. Yeah, call back. Take care.
All right, cool. I'll be back.
Later. Bye-bye. Yeah. Yeah, that's Rodney. We finally let his calls in again because we found out that if we don't give him a couple of minutes airtime, he spends his whole night attacking us from 15 different account names. So, okay, the Rodney thing is just some guy who calls in. He basically jerks our chain. Oh, no, I got it every single time he calls in. We used to stop taking his calls for years. Oh yeah, there's no problem there. But we found out that people actually wanted to hear Rodney. Survey said people want to hear Rodney. Some people like him, and it brought our numbers up significantly. Not that Rodney is that important, but when I go from 3 viewers to 4 viewers, I consider that a success. Yeah, Rodney's big time in his own mind, and that makes him special for himself. So we all can't live that way. Most of us have to humble ourselves, and really the guy has worked there his whole life, and as you could tell, wrinkles upon wrinkles. He's waiting for his retirement check. And I said, I'm really, really happy that we have USPS. I am, and you guys, this annual fee, which goes up every year, because you guys work so hard. And he said, we people don't realize all around your own box. But I can't expect the remaining 5.7 billion people to possibly, tune into the show. It's up to you. Do you want to tell people about us, maybe? Instead of just complain about how many people are watching and nothing happening? Guess and invest. That's why, Except Bernie just offers and promises everything constantly. And the more he does, the more people wonder, how are you going to pay for it? And then, do you like Castro? And now Castro is trending, and Bernie likes Castro. So Bernie says he's not a communist, but he went to the Soviet Union with his wife for their, wedding, honeymoon. Can you imagine Jane and Bernie going together to Moscow? Well, that's what they did, and they arrived, and now he says he's not a communist. So he endorses them, but he doesn't endorse them. And he answers questions on 60 Minutes, but that was Charles Schumer earlier. We're done with that story. I just got to knock these out here. This is a weird one I played earlier in the show. Let me play it again for you if you haven't seen it. This is a headless man walking or riding through a small town in some Asian country. There he is. That's kind of weird, Especially when the crossover of the hat, it doesn't seem to be cut. And what's strange is his arms are perfectly in match to his body, so he's not wearing some sort of a suit. His legs are fairly long relative to his body, so... Is he or is he not headless? That is a really good question. But you see, these are the kind of questions we can't answer on Conspiracy Monday. No. I don't have a lot of hope and faith that people in blackface are going to make a difference in this world. But you guys who are hung up on the whole thing, I did blackface because I really, truly needed to get, some exposure. Plus, I was really kind of sarcastically satiring our New World Order puppet president, Barack Obama. Well, let's be clear. And that's why I did blackface. Yeah, thank you. And plus, I knew I was censored big time across the board. I don't want to live large, because I already am living large, but I'm living modestly large. Yeah, I have a swim spa, but I got to fill it up with water and turn the heat on. I have a beautiful home, but people call it a trailer because it arrived here as a modular. There's no wheels on it anymore. Those were taken away. So, I have a nice home, but I live in a beautiful place on a beautiful view of the Olympic Mountains. I've got a really nice setup here. That's part of why I can do the show for free every night. But the idea that, living large is what I envy, no, I don't. Do I envy buying that $9.8 million house in Tarzana that I was looking at last week on Zillow? No, I don't. Do I want to live with a twice the size Olympic swimming pool? No, I don't. Do I want to have a beautiful view of the Malibu Canyon? No, I don't. Tarzana is a very tough area to, to really nail down too. I found this amazing house. Rodney, you might want to look at this. Yeah, I just can't seem to get Tarzana, California. So this is what we're all after, who are really, really rich. Those of you who are super, super special want, both depopulation and immortality. We, the average person, they don't want that. Let's set the parameters here for, I think it was 7 million up to 10 million. Yeah. This should isolate it down to one house. Boom. Let me show you this beautiful. I know. He laminated the shrine. Rodney has a shrine with my picture on it and a laminated calendar of, well, I don't want to get into it. But look at this for the value. Under $9 million. I mean, this is bigger than anything Trump has, really. The Taj Mahal is nothing compared to this. This is the Taj. I mean, you couldn't ask for a more beautiful house if you really, really were, incredibly greedy and had one thing on your mind, that's personal gain. Like Trump or Rodney. Check this out for $9 million out the door, Rodney. It's not even a fixer-upper. Look at this thing. That's all Italian marble, by the way. I mean, this has you written all over it, Rodney. You could probably take some of the money you made from censoring us and buy this with us. I mean, come on. Is this not over the top or what? I think it has like 8 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms. Look at this beautiful home. I mean, my goodness. Well, you come in with 7.2, you'd probably end up settling at 7.8, but they want 9. But look at this, Rodney. It has you. The ask is aggressive, but it's also, you do the comparatives on this. I'm going to show you this. Look at this. I mean, I'm not done yet. We're just having a field day here. This is how the rich live in Los Angeles. Well, you could offer 6.5 cash, but I'm telling you, man, this is like the nicest house I've seen for the money. Got a wine rack. Beautiful kitchen, open layout. Oh, look at that library. Keep your one book, How Important You Are, written by yourself. And on the shelf, and then, oh, look at the bathrooms, the luxury, the hot tubs. I'd spend more time, but I mean, your shoe collection alone can't even, I haven't even gotten to the waterfalls. This is one of the water features. It's a water wall. The library is tight, I know. Look at the viewing room. You could watch all of your old movies like Sanford and the Son and Chico and the Man, all those favorite shows you love to make fun of. And yeah, the swimming pool is beyond belief. You put the one book, Hybrid Capitalism, out there. Look at the swimming pool. It's got the size of 2 Olympic swimming pools with a complete Malibu rock formation. Tell me this isn't the coolest thing ever. How could you not buy this house? We're reaching the end of our tour. Our video tour is about to end. You've got views, vista views of the Pacific Ocean in the back, by the way. Oh, yeah. Ta-da! Okay, now, being I could only give you that, I'm going to give you the link. Here it is. Now I'm going to take you on a tour of Malibu for the same price range. And I'll show you what you can get in Malibu. Yeah. There's all these houses in this price range. Look at this. Yeah, let's just take a look at something of comparative value. 8.9. Nice. 5 bedrooms, 7 baths. That's not bad. Beautiful coastal views. Well, see, there you have it. I'm almost sold on this one now. Yeah, 4,763 square foot. Oh, man. Well, Well, there are some dives for 9 million over there. Yeah, let's take a look at this one. Yeah, this is a real 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, not 7 bedrooms, 7 baths. And you're living bumper to bumper next to other palatial retreats. Okay. Okay, I think we're all done with this. I don't want to bore you anymore with this. Yeah. Anyway, nice houses for $9 million. Yes, people really, really live like this. But the nice thing is you can go to this link and you can live like this too. That's right. For no money at all, you can wander through those rooms by putting it up on a 4K screen TV and pretending you're there. All right. There won't be any debates with me, unfortunately. I've never in any way been delusional about what I'm doing. I'm showing you how completely censored the country is. I've been doing that since I started. A person in America could rise to the top amid this controlled two-party system. You realize that all of that has been taken away from us. We don't have freedom of speech. We have the illusion of freedom of speech. If we really want to speak out, our YouTube accounts will be shut down. I assure you. It happened time and time again. Scissorfight's brilliant, and he's a compilation of all the times that Trump snorted on camera. And he did, and it took him forever. I mean, I'm sure it took you hours, Scissorfight. It's their video or something, which is ridiculous. But he puts out this one video, and then his account was banned. He had over 1,000 subs, too. And I only played you 4 seconds of it so that you know that I'm not trying to exploit the item, but yeah, it was just him sniffling. Because he literally snorted 136 times. No, I'm talking about Scissorfight getting banned and censored, not Trump and his snorting. That's a side note. I don't know why Trump snorts. Do you, Rodney? And no, he wasn't shut down for anything other than putting that video out there. Oh, I guess I muted you. You can't talk. Let me unmute you. Yeah, go ahead and respond. You've been here since Blog TV. Pirate Salty Dog, I remember you. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's true about Rodney Homeless Hank, because you seem to know a lot about Rodney. I don't know much about him. I know he lives in the southern United States. He claims to have a really nice apartment. I'm sure it's probably a view property overlooking somebody's bathtub, but whatever. Okay. All right, let's dive into the news for a little bit, but these are the two primary motivations behind conspiracy theory. The elitists are trying to seek immortality, or that they're trying to seek depopulation, or both. That's really what I've boiled this down to. I've titrated this down to that. Yeah, he is comic relief. Yeah, I agree, Johnny. And it's helpful to get people who call in with, different ways of looking at things. I don't see the world the way Rodney does. I don't think that we should get rid of everybody who's walking around homeless. No, I'm not into sending people to the FEMA camps like Trump. I believe that we can get mobile service units to people in cities that are struggling and then slowly phase in the homestead renewal plan. And maybe not slowly, maybe quickly. But the idea is to get new ideas front forward so that we don't fall into the category of depopulation and forcing people into death camps. Kind of like Aldous Huxley predicted.
The new regime. But they will be happy in situations where they open to be happy. But let me ask you.
Yeah, they're open to being happy. Aldous Huxley will feature him later. He was a brilliant author, and there's a debate going on as to how our society has evolved and exactly whether his version of Brave New World is evolving or whether George Orwell's 1984 is evolving. Both have different qualities about them that make it unique. The individual freedom would be destroyed either way. Either way, we'd all be on soma or drugs of some sort, which we are. Our society lives on drugs. 65% of the American people live on big pharma medicine. I'm not making that up. Something scary. Oh, how to avoid a prostitute drink scam. Oh, this looks good. Yeah, I knew a guy that got tagged at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Somebody slipped him a roofie. Some high-end prostitute slipped him a roofie, and by the time he was out, he was completely lost all his money. He got taken to the cleaners. If you're a guy that goes to bars looking for dates, this will be very enlightening. How to avoid a prostitute drink scam. Thank you. I've never been roofied. No. Rodney of Oak Harbor. Well, the thing is, Rodney, I don't support your concept of depopulation because I think, unlike many other species, humanity has chosen to not replicate. I believe that we could realign with keeping our population the way it is and not get rid of 90% of it like the elitists want to do. Yeah, well, I'm not here to, scare you about roofies.
Right in the center of Rio, Lapa is famous for its nightlife.
And you could be taken in and turned into a victim of one of the many prostitution scams out there. Okay, we're going to go back to the Rodney call. Yeah, go ahead, Rodney. What were you saying? You're next.
Hey, Dave, just wanted to give you here's just a quick tip. Like, if you ever have a whore over to your, house or hotel room, and you have to go to the other room, you got to take a leak. What you have the whore do in the meantime is clap her hands constantly.
Oh.
That way you know she can't.
Oh, great. You're breaking up, man.
Go on, buddy. Write that down.
You're breaking up. Thank you for that tip. Yeah, thank you. You're breaking up. You got to get a better call out.
Make them clap their hands, Dave.
Yeah, clap your hands. If you're the, I don't endorse prostitution, but if you're in the other room, have her clap her hands so you know she's not slipping a roofie into your drink. It's hard to clap and reach down and get a roofie. And you got to say right up, like Rodney was saying, you got to say right up. Now, I'm never going to go to a prostitute, but you've been to a few, right, Rodney?
A few thousand.
A few thousand prostitutes he's been to. So here we have a John calling in, openly admitting he's been to a few thousand prostitutes. Well, thanks for the tip. I'm sure many people who do go to prostitutes would want to know that. Yeah. Good idea. Did you think of that yourself, or did you write, did you learn about that from somebody, or what?
Yeah, I invented it, bro.
He invented it, bro. Wow, how about that? Okay, man. Thanks for your tip.
Dave, I'll talk to you in a few minutes.
Later, bye-bye. Okay, that was a Rodney tip. Again, telling people how to avoid a roofie in the middle of a prostitute gig. Have her clap her hands when you're in the bathroom. That way she can't slip the roofie into the drink. Yeah, believe it or not, he has that lung transplant thing he's going to do with the Thailand people whenever he loses his lungs. He overdoes his lungs. I don't know, man. Your real number, I tried to unban all the numbers, but the phone didn't seem to take. Yeah, you're welcome to try. I did unban all the numbers, so try it again. You have given your wife clap when you left the room too? Oh, I see. So you got clap from a prostitute and then you gave your wife clap. That's pretty sick, man. Yeah, I'm glad you had this candid time to talk about your sick personal life. And thanks, Rodney, for diverting our conversation from depopulation and false claims of immortality to you getting laid. It's such a better topic. Yeah. Yeah, you're still blocked. I'm so sorry. Let me see if I can get. No, I can't seem to unblock the number. Anyway, I could spend all night long doing this. Thank you. You know, I've never been to a prostitute, so I don't really know what you guys are going through and who are suffering from lack of female companionship. No, I don't consider muting or banning viewers a form of censorship. Not at all. I know that you have multiple ways of coming back in here and popping back up. It's perfectly fine. Why are eyelids wonky? I don't know. I don't know why eyelids are wonky. You tell me. I didn't get enough sleep last night. Yeah, you're right. 6 hours just doesn't cut it. When I first read about the adoption of the new Mass, you thought only the difference was the language change, the orientation of the priest. No, I mean, when they adopted the new Mass, they acquired the phrase of Lucifer in Latin. Yeah, the changes in the Catholic procession during the Masses have evolved. Yeah. If only. I know. Much was removed, but Lucifer was added. That's one of the conspiracy theories that's kind of significant. Let me show you the picture of the Vatican. Yeah, it's bizarre. I do this on occasion, I'll tell you about it, but no one can really explain why the Vatican chose to put the image of a snake inside of their rotunda. Wonky eyelids. Wow. I don't know. What are wonky eyelids? I don't even know what that means. Willy Wonka eyelids? Yeah, see the pictures of the demons surrounded by... That's a picture of Lucifer, and the Pope is down here. And then the snake head. See how resemble, and down here too. The building itself is shaped like a snake head. Yeah, yes. Look at this picture here. Now, what is the Vatican trying to say? That they're reptilians? So that spawned a lot of conspiracy theories that still go on to this day and are promulgated by propagandists who want to divert our attention. Yeah, so nothing to worry about here. By the way, this won't cost you anything. It's free. It's currently being paid for by our system. It's just making better use of the medical costs that are charging you up the yin-yang when you go in there. You know, we don't want to rip people off, so you'll have set rates for your medical care. Homeless Hank's now thinking of befriending Rodney because they found they both want to secretly be alpha males. And maybe they could hook up and maybe have a, private session behind one of the bathrooms outside of Rodney's house. Looking for prostitutes. I just can't imagine you bragging that you've been to 1,000 prostitutes. Man. Oh man, I wish I could. Trump admits sending Giuliani to Ukraine. That's old news. Trump admits doing quid pro quo for dirt on Joe. He's actually admitted it. It's no longer even an issue. Trump violated laws just to get dirt on Joe. And he admits sending Giuliani to Ukraine, contradicting himself once again. Yeah. I got to get rid of that link. Bye. Lawmakers are warned that Russia is still meddling in the re-election of Donald Trump. Yeah, we know. Oh yeah, this guy died. He crashed, the daredevil. Sad. Flat earther. Trying to find the dome. Now, let's start freaking out a little bit about, watch this video and see how much torture this woman is enduring. So basically, they grabbed a woman who didn't have a mask on, and they subdued her with her umbrella and brought her to the ground and physically, like, hauled her off. So we're all a little bit worried about that. Well, the Vatican changed some of the laws, push and toe, regarding pedophile priests. For a long time, the Vatican believed that any pornography on the Vatican property that was of anyone like 15 to 18 was acceptable. Believe it or not, that was the policy. So now they've made it so that no pornography on the Vatican property could be seen unless it's 18 or over. I know that seems like a no-brainer, but that was a change that Francis just put in place. They're going to use that to try to stop some of the pedo priests from existing. I don't know. Somebody, Scissorfight likes iVlog. I like iVlog. I mean, I've got people over there. I can't really stop broadcasting on a network. I'm not affiliated with that. I have no knowledge of that person, nor do I have any affiliation. Well, we were talking about the Pizzagate story earlier, Rodney. You missed our pre-show, but it was pretty intense. We brought up a lot of important things that are not being discussed. Hey, really, let's talk about Roger Stone for a second. He got shafted. I think I can agree with the Republicans. He got shafted. And even 3.5 years in jail is too long for what he was charged with. Thank you. I can assure you that I would never, if I were Donald Trump right now, I would pardon Roger Stone. I would. Well, they never really found any of the truth about WikiLeaks. I mean, in his own way, Roger Stone was trying to help out, but they never found any truth to his WikiLeaks connection. And they never pursued the Seth Rich connection, which is the smoking gun. And that man literally died getting shot 3 times in the back. So what's the government hiding? That's the doorway to the truth about the WikiLeaks story. And as far as the WikiLeaks story is today, it's a case of complete suppression of information. Whenever WikiLeaks came up that weren't supposed to be seen, like the ones with everybody talking about pizza, the Podesta emails, the Alefantis emails, the Hillary Clinton emails talking about pizza, even Obama bought $47,000 worth of pizza at the White House. No one can explain that. Anyway, the simple fact is this pizza reference is a pedophile reference, and the cheese pizza is a reference to child pornography. And when they tried to suppress the whole Pizzagate story, it was kind of pushed off the news completely. Everybody was shocked that you couldn't hear about it anymore, unfortunately. And then, word came out that Hillary bought $11,000 worth of pizza. And then all of a sudden she made a public announcement that she had a big pizza party 3 years earlier that she invited a lot of people to. And no one had ever heard of that. No one can corroborate her story. It would cost, I guess, $11,000 would get you quite a few pieces of pizza. I do read chat over there, yes. I'm reading chat in various rooms, but yeah, I do read chat over there. So let's see, $11,000. Typically, I'm going to say a pizza's $20. That's a high price for pizza. It varies. Yeah, that's 550 pizzas they ate. That's a lot of pizza. What did you eat? 550. So she must have invited a lot of people, like thousands of people, to eat pizza, but she didn't. No one can understand why she was so quick to say that she had a big pizza party 3 years earlier when this news came out that the wiki email leaked. Okay. It must have been terrifying, yeah. Well, the one I'm concerned about is the $47,000 Obama spent on pizza using tax dollars. That's the one that needs to be investigated. You know, Rodney, one of the biggest things I'm pissed off about Donald is that he hasn't investigated any of that. That's the part that really bums me out. And he never really did any prosecution of Hillary Clinton either. No, Homeless Hank, it's normal to cook in the nude. Yeah, just don't put any wieners in the fry pan that you're not really sure are from the refrigerator. Well, I don't know he will. I don't think he's capable. I think you have to almost assume that Donald Trump he hasn't prosecuted anyone in 3 years. You have to assume that that's what he would continue doing, nothing. When you realize, and you're a Republican, you realize that Trump hasn't really done anything that he said he was going to do. And when asked about, all these QAnon stories that keep coming at him, he makes veiled statements like he knows who Q is. It's just garbage. Trump has never pursued the 9/11 investigation he said he was going to in 2016. Nothing. No, he hasn't. I'm serious. There's never, ever been any case of prosecution. Yeah, just avoid cooking up too many wieners. I read what Stone was accused of, yeah. Intimidating a witness. I read the story, and in fact, I listened to the witness explain what was happening. He was basically being pressured because he was going to be testifying in a case that he was a middleman on and being falsely accused. It's more like a he said, hearsay point of view versus a real witness intimidation, if you ask me. But the way Stone has been acting, he thinks he's like the internet hacker trolls that are out there. They think they can get away with stuff on the internet. I'm not going to say Roger Stone is not, I'm not going to say he's innocent of everything, but I can tell you that Roger Stone was the reason 7% of the 448-page document Mueller did was redacted. That William Barr decided to, in his own mind, to pull that information, which was critical to the witness tampering, the Russian interference in the election case. What's strange to me is that Adam Schiff did not in any way bring up anything that was in the 448-page document. That's the part that's really weird. It wasn't brought up at all. So all that work that Mueller did was for naught. It was all for naught. The gong's going off down here. No, I missed the speech to the dot heads, but okay. He attempted to bribe a juror? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I haven't followed that closely. Well then, okay, yeah. Then maybe 3.5 years is appropriate. But again, I see no reason why they didn't investigate the Seth Rich case. How can we possibly go by and look back and say that Seth Rich died, shot 3 times in the back, lived through it, spent a day and a half in the hospital, and then died later? How can we possibly not call that malicious and murderous in nature? He didn't die of his wounds. The doctor on staff said that he was told to stay out of the room for a day and a half. We don't know if they smothered Seth Rich in the hospital. But here, who's a prosecutor in D.C., why did he somehow wear a different hat and become the defense attorney for the Awan brothers in a plea agreement? That is impossible. You can't be a prosecutor and then all of a sudden be a defense attorney at the same time. You can't do that. That's a violation of ethics. So why did that happen? And why did the Awan brothers have virtually no time at all and just a plea agreement was struck and that was it? We never heard about it again. Similarly, why did the NYPD lose 9 police officers last year, all related to the Anthony Weiner email story? When Anthony Weiner was arrested and brought in for the sex molestation or the sex thing online, They grabbed his computer and they found 330,000 emails that weren't seen anywhere else. What happened to those emails? And why did those 9 cops die of what they call suicide, when it's really, really weird for somebody to go blow their brains off out in Staten Island? A lot of them were just, shot in the head, and it looked like a suicide, they said, but that's a lot of cover-up. And then you got the Jeffrey Epstein case out of NYPD and all that cover-up. So there's a lot of furtive information to look at regarding conspiracies and all of these stories that are still out there. Yeah. You can kind of come up with your own answers to that. But back to the conspiracy of healthcare. Bernie would like you to think that you can't get healthcare anywhere you go in America. The Democrats have been playing this ploy, and it got them Obamacare, and they're still singing the same song that you can't get healthcare when other people can. Anybody in America will get served at a doctor or emergency ward. They go out of their way to serve people who don't have any money. So to say, yeah.
But you can still get a bill even if you don't have any money.
Oh, I'm not saying you're not going to get a bill, but if you can't pay it, you can't pay it. So, but don't think for a second that you are denied health care in America. You're not. Don't play into that fear. Medicaid for all just has to be properly spent. They're wasteful right now. The Democrats have proven to waste $300 billion a year with Obamacare. So it's very likely we're going to be able to get a lot better out of a mobile medical unit system that charges a lot less. I'm very confident that that's possible. I'm not just spinning words here, guys.
And afterwards, that is directly...
I am really talking about plans that will keep all of our costs down. Okay? Let me clear out the room here. Yes, I'll come up with the 4 different theories regarding the coronavirus when I get back. Thank you. Now, one of the big problems with the healthcare projections that are being talked about is they want to get rid of the private healthcare companies, which is a waste, just wiping out lots of industry and lots of people and their jobs. Wiping out private healthcare won't solve it. We actually compete in the private sector. We want the government to compete in the private sector. And that's what makes our concept different than the two parties. So I'll leave you with hybrid capitalism and Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for stepping in.
You're welcome. All right. Those were some Reaganisms. I did not realize that, 915. That is a really good one-liner. It's not that the people are ignorant. They just know so much that isn't so. That's actually quite apropos. Could be applied to more than the Democrats these days. Did you know I was born on Ronald Reagan's birthday? Yep, indeed I was. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Oh, poor Anita. I hope that you make it. This was February 23rd. Oh, you made it. Anita, you're back. So you made it through the operation today. Is that correct? I don't have any. I've never seen a video of David doing stand-up when he was younger. No. You're back. Your operation went well, I take it. Sarah, that's an omen. Good or bad that I was born on Ronald Reagan's birthday? Hello now, Nero. Now you have to have Operation 2, some FURS and laser. What's FURS? All right. Sounds good. Just going to look it up while I look up all sides. A Ninth Circuit upholds a controversial abortion policy. It ruled in favor Monday of a Trump administration policy that restricts federal funded family planning centers from referring patients for abortion. Coverage from left-rated outlets generally focus more on perceived consequences of the ruling, especially for low-income women and families. Some reporting from right-rated outlets focus more on the history of the legislation known as Title X and arguments for preventing taxpayer-funded abortions. Flexible uteroscopy and laser surgery. Wow. I don't know of that place Truth Hurts to. Oh, wow. Oh, Hank was born on Johnny Depp's birthday. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully the surgery will help your problems. Wow. The Supreme Court is going to consider whether or not a Catholic organization can reject same-sex couples as foster parents in a city-funded child welfare program, even though there's a local ordinance prohibiting discrimination based on sexual orientation. So there's a Catholic Social Services in the city of Philadelphia. It's an arm of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, and it has been placing foster children in homes since 1919. But the city suspended referrals to the organization after learning it wouldn't consider same-sex couples, and it declined to renew its contract. I guess the city of Philadelphia has a contract with this organization. All right, so now the Supreme Court is going to hear it, and decide what they think. I think I would, I don't know, see, Push and Toe, there's things, Push and Toe asked, Sarah, I know you and David are centrists, but what party would you lean to if not running for third party? Some people would probably say, I would lean liberal because I'm a teacher, but that's why I became a centrist, because there are parts of the Republican Party that I tend to agree with, and there's parts of the Democratic Party that I tend to agree with. So that's why I consider myself a centrist. And there's different things. So like it all depends on the issue. If you talk about gun rights, I might be more inclined to lean toward the right, toward the Republican, where I believe people do have a right to bear arms. If you talk about abortion, could be different than myself. I tend to lean left when it comes to abortion. When it comes to government, like Medicare, I tend to lean left. When it comes to capitalism and supporting industry, I tend to lean right and helping industry. So it all depends on, I would say, rather than saying, is there a certain party I agree with or not, I say it really depends on issue by issue. Are my eyelids wonky, or were you talking, was that David? When it comes to immigration, I tend to lean right. I actually decided I'm not going to vote in the primary this year, because our primary, you have to declare whether you're a Democrat or Republican, and I'm neither. Ballot, I would probably look at the I voted for Ross Perot. I voted for some libertarian candidates. So I've always kind of been a centrist. There's times when I voted for Democrats and Republicans on the same in the same election. Not obviously they weren't running for against each other for the same office, because you can't do that, it negates it. But in the same election cycle, I might vote for a Republican for say state house, and I might vote for a Democrat for state senate. And so for me, it never really has been about party. It's really about the issues, the individual issues. You tend to vote, I vote third party usually. If there's no third party, then I look and decide between the candidates and do a little bit more research. I know that doesn't really answer your question, and I seem more like a centrist or fence sitter than I previously have, but I guess that's part of a third party candidate is about, at least in this day and age, since we don't have many third party candidates. Wow, stand. All right. They say the South Carolina primary is a critical springboard for Super Tuesday. Buttigieg used his Nevada concession speech to make the case against Bernie Sanders, even though Sanders won the Nevada caucuses, decisive win. Oh, wow, Hank. I don't know if I actually want to look at that. What happens to your body after a year in a coffin? 1 year in a coffin? I don't think I will never look down on David, but David does not like tattoos. I don't know, Z. Ew. Why are you always focused on the negative? You always do that. The way to break a tie in a Nevada caucus, you draw cards from a deck. Wow. Alabama. Can I play Mr. Right? David will play Mr. Right for you, maybe. The Supreme Court sizes up a 2,200-mile barrier to development. Power to authorize pipelines under administers the Appalachian Trail. Therefore, the environmentalists say no agency can permit a pipeline to cross the Appalachian Trail, which runs 2,200 miles from Maine to Georgia. Then you'll feel better. Oh. I don't like all these. Subscribe to read the full story. Subscribe. I'm like, no, I don't want to. Even though your story looks interesting to read. Tuesday is your pancake day. Ooh, that will be good. Skill versus chance, yeah. I know that drawing cards, that is total chance. You're absconding from dairy and wine completely. That's good. Kugelmass tells an audience of engineers at the University of Michigan that we've got to convince the world that nuclear isn't as bad as they once thought. He says in order to reverse climate change, the only way to do that is to double down on nuclear energy. Of course, Medium. I have 2 free stories left this month. These budding engineers are intrigued about how they can help. Kugelmass is announcing some kind of competition. He has a pile of cash for environmental woes or trouble. Energy to suck sufficient carbon out of the atmosphere. Buttigieg have expressed support for nuclear for the sake of the climate. Joe Biden is promoting the development of new nuclear technologies. And this Kugelmass has founded an Energy Impact Center, a research institute that hopes to return Earth to pre-industrial age chemistry by fostering safe, small, low-cost, lightly regulated nuclear reactors that can power devices that suck carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere in order to remove the last 200 years of carbon. No, I've not seen that video. Why would that be a good link, Hank? Well, David sometimes thinks it's 5G push and tow. It was nice knowing all of you. There's 8,000 Californians under self-imposed quarantine, and South Korea locks down a city of 2.5 million people. Okay. So he has a podcast, this guy has a podcast called Titans of Nuclear, which has more than 250 interviews with experts like the director of the International Nuclear Energy Agency, the head of the U.S. Department of Energy's Advanced Research R&D Division, president of the European Nuclear Society, and executives from power companies, professors, and policymakers.
Against nuclear energy?
He thinks nuclear energy, especially small, safer nuclear power plants, could be the key to solving the climate change problem, because he says if you can create nuclear energy and use that energy to suck the carbon out of the air,
right,
that's the only way to reverse climate change, in his opinion.
I agree, and I've been a big supporter of air filtration from the very beginning. When the Democrats talk about cap and trade, I talk about air filtration. I don't think we need to create a plan to get rid of carbon. We just need to start getting rid of carbon. Filtering the air is one of the best ways to do it. But nuclear is terrible, I agree. The fact is, the pebble reactors have proven to be safe. And as long as we can deal with the spent fuel rods that are sitting in every single nuclear repository in America, nothing's being done with that. Until we can deal with that, I would agree with you. But we clearly have a lot of nuclear spent fuel rods.
You were saying when we deal with that?
Yeah, once we deal with the spent fuel rods, I would agree that nuclear energy could be a very big future safe way of getting rid of carbon. No question about it. I agree.
But then it's like, what are you trading it for?
Yeah, what are we trading it for? Spent fuel rods. You know, every single reactor in America has produced a tremendous amount of spent fuel rods, and they're sitting around. Oh, could you bring the phone in from the other room, Sarah? It's in the kitchen, I think. Sorry.
We'll just bring you this one.
Okay. That'll do it. Somebody has 2 friends in South Korea and 1 traveling to Italy right now. Thank you. Hello, go ahead. What's your question? Hello? Hello, what's your question? Yeah. Okay, top 10 ways to identify gay men according to world powers. Do we really need to know if men are gay?
Being gay has always been a controversial topic, but it's...
Okay, so you want to identify gay men? Why is that? Are you worried that they're going to hit on you or something? Thanks, but I don't think that's really worthy of Conspiracy Monday. We got so many things happening. We got the 5G network completely untested, and then when they did test it in Wuhan, all these people died. Yeah. We got a weird story there. Hey, let's start with that. What do you say? We're going to look at the 4 top reasons why, or what is the coronavirus? What's really going on? I mean, we're trying to filter through fake news and true news and come up with our own news. Be nice, wouldn't it? Well, number 4 on the list is it's somehow related to the 5G network. The number of people dying are all related to the 5G network. They're near nexuses of areas that are firing up the 5G network. We're going to be playing a 45-minute video about that tonight. Pretty interesting connection. And then, of course, the next big conspiracy theory is that it's somehow a dangerous bioweapon with a 100% kill rate. No, I appreciate that, Homeless Hank. I can spot gay people, you know, at a distance because they're always going like this. But I really, you know, those kind of symbols are things you pick up intuitively when you're a heterosexual man and people are looking at you like that. You think it's number 3, but would not necessarily a kill. Okay, you can do that. You don't have to have a 100% kill rate. You could have a 20% or 3% kill rate, whatever. Sure. The number 2 is a standard mainstream media perspective, and I've chosen to make these my designated categories. Number 2 is it's a standard flu. I mean, the number of people that have died so far really doesn't top the total number of flu deaths in the world. Every single month we lose about 1,000 people to the flu around the world. More people are dying of lung cancer. More people are dying of heart disease. More people are dying of whatever. Yeah, old age. But yeah, the number 1 thing, and this is, I think, one of the most interesting conspiracy theories of all, is it's all a hoax. It's all just fake pictures of people dying from the coronavirus. And I have a corona loop here that pretty much shows all the video that we saw from that time period, and we haven't seen a lot of video ever since. Makes you wonder what's going on. Why are they hiding all that information? Or maybe they just went out and made all this stuff up in like a theater type environment. They hired crisis actors to put on, you know, to die in front of them. Sure. Or lay dead on the street. That's a very interesting theory. The coronavirus movie, Corona Unleashed or Unmasked, a 1-hour video dedicated to showing all these pictures combined, which is just the photos that were appearing prior, and now we have hardly anything. So here's like some of the photographs from the Corona Unmasked video showing some severe things like dead people in the street and corpses, strange banging noise by police. And this video right here shows some sort of a body jerking on a gurney. Now, I can see the hoax people thinking, oh, yeah, this could be a total hoax. You know? I'm over here, yeah. I fell off screen a little bit. But yeah, I can see how somebody might think, but this jerking activity, if it really is a person, you know, on their last breath, This is indicative of not the flu. This is indicative of 5G contamination and possible electromagnetic affecting EMF frequencies affecting their entire nervous system. And then there's evidence of people bleeding out at orifices. Now, I'm not going to show you this stuff, but there's evidence that people bleed out, and some people say that when they die, their eyes fill up with blood. Well, that happens to be also a symptom of like electrocution. Notice how I limited to very short periods of watching people allegedly dying? Yeah. It was nice knowing all of the 8,000 Californians under self-imposed quarantine. South Korea locks down the city of 2.5 million people. Wow. Okay, Zero Hedge has some stuff from Super Saver. Here they come again. Right, let's do that. 8,000 Californians under self-imposed quarantine. No kidding. Number of cases worldwide topping 80,000. Italy reports its 7th death and 200 confirmed cases. Spain reports a 3rd case. Well, number of cases worldwide topping 80,000, but you notice how it's kind of tapering off a little bit? You know, it's not quite the same curve it was up here. I mean, if you're looking at curves and drawing tangents to the curves, we're looking at a tangent at this point down here that's pretty low. You know, or rather, you see that tangent right there? That's pretty high. That's up, 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 up. Whereas this one over here is like a little bit lower, you know, down, 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 down. Up, 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 up. Down, 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 down. So hopefully it's tapering off. One can only hope. But yeah, let's freak out some more. What do you say? Freak out. Do, 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 do. The person said the death toll in Wuhan is 200,000 instead of 2,000. Oh, okay. We just got this message from a person in Wuhan. Thanks. Okay. What if this chick is right? Yeah. This is very interesting. Now, if that's the case, then we really have an extreme bioweapon to be feared worldwide. Yeah. The problem with China is they don't want anyone to really, you know, get the message out. I can't even read it. And what's more, I can't... Is there a function I can translate this in? Translate to English. Thank you. Yeah, Tom Steyer wants to give reparations to all African Americans. I know. He needs to just step out of the race and go bye-bye. Can you imagine he wants to give reparations out? What about all the people that missed out on education because of affirmative action? Should we give them reparations too, Tom? First, it's reported that 200,000 people have died are credible. Okay. Someone left a message in my previous article saying on February 10th, China had died 200,000. This number is credible. In Wuhan, many sick people have died without nucleic acid tests, and the number of deaths at home is much higher than the number of deaths in hospitals. And the CCP even controls nucleic acid test regions in order to reduce the number of confirmed diagnoses. Wow. So they're altering the test studies according to this Chinese statement. Huh. Okay. More fear and worry. People locked in their... this is actual open area where people are being housed in a hospital. They are building a second 1,000 person hospital right next to the first one. Apparently the prison-like hospital they created in Wuhan is not enough to deal with the death and the slow death of people, you know, passing away. And of course that video I just showed you had people, you know, in the background being shot by police / healthcare workers. I mean, all this stuff, crazy conspiracy theory stuff. So it's your choice to believe whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. But the important thing is, either way, take precautions, especially for a virus. And it is flu season, so always prepare. Carry your mask wherever necessary. Well, we don't know. We don't know if the virus really is happening or if it's the 5G network killing people. This is a very interesting conspiracy theory, but at the same time, it fits along the depopulation plan perfectly. It dovetails nicely into the depopulation plan to get rid of 90% of the population. Well, if they hadn't have written it on the walls of the Georgia Guidestones, we wouldn't be so concerned. But somebody put up these huge monolithic Guidestones in Georgia right around 1980 when Ronald Reagan was president, our first New World Order puppet president. When Ronald Reagan took over, this nation became the arm of the New World Order. Can we change subjects to the blimp? Talking about the blimp is not that appropriate on Conspiracy Monday, Xenu. You know that.
Hey, thanks a lot, buddy. Living large. Masterpiece, buddy, masterpiece. Yeah, I hear you.
Hey, here's a woman who lives life as a kitty cat, and I'm her master? What? So he's trained his girlfriend to live like a kitty cat. Now this is taking the whole your fantasy life, Rodney, to an extreme. Yeah, he's actually got this girl to behave like a kitty cat. I think I've seen enough. Earlier we were showing you a picture of a young woman who wanted to be a little child and behaved as such, but that wasn't really that interesting either. Now we're getting into conspiracy theory. Let's take a look at this one. Okay. Pedo Paradise. Creepy unseen pics reveal Jeffrey Epstein's baby-making factory ranch where he hosted Prince Andrew. Now, some people believe that Jeffrey Epstein spent all his money, not all, but $7 million with MIT to develop a genetics engineering program where he could somehow seed the human race with his super race. I know that sounds really weird, but it's actually true. But never before seen photographs reveal the incredible opulence of Epstein's notorious New Mexico baby-making factory called the Zorro Ranch. Okay, we're watching them right now. The human can video. The human cat video? No. Gun cabinet? I don't know how strange that is, with rifles and shotguns. Giant chandelier hangs above a grand piano. Okay. Two rich guys walking down the road talking. Okay, this is really, really wild and crazy. Xenu, remember we talked about you not asking Anita about her stoma bag? Anita, don't answer him. God. Rodney, that's very, very rude. I'm going to purge you and hope that you'll change your ways. Repent. I don't see anything too weird yet. Bookcase with ornate features. Yeah. Wild and crazy weirdness. Ornateness. Uh-oh. Bingo. This is a photograph that I believe was photoshopped. That poor Prince Andrew somehow was taken, he said this was photographed. It was completely photoshopped. I've traced this. This is not a serious jaggies in here on the sense. This line, for one, is pasted in a rectangular. Anyway, that is a classic case of paste up. So I agree that Prince Andrew had been framed with this photograph. I halfway believe he was in a pizza store with his net for that, trying to ride in Rodney's foottails. You're trying to be a wannabe Rodney homeless? That's pretty. Nobody's going to be like Rodney. Rodney has 4 accounts right now, all praising his phone calls. I talked to my sister a couple days ago. That's right. Great conversation. Yeah, Trump, as usual, has all the answers. He said 2 days ago that the virus will end when the warmer weather gets here. Who's crazy enough to vote for him? I agree. Push and toe, you're right. But who's going to vote for some screaming communist Jew guy who hates Israel? I mean, come on. Bernie's using the same thing. He's been on a roll for 40 years now, pitching communism, claiming it's socialism. I never bailed anybody out of jail. No. That's pretty funny that Trump believes he's going to solve this. Now, I think it's ridiculous that Trump is allowing Chinese immigrants into our country right now, even on day passes. I think we should shut down all traffic with China. I'm surprised that this president hasn't done that, but there you have it. Not a lot surprises me about this guy. So it's actually a 20-minute video, and it won't be too long. It'll be the first 20 minutes of our show. It's called "This Could Be What's Really Going On. Are We Being Tricked?" Very interesting stats coming out of Wuhan and the 5G network. Is Italy being affected, or are they just firing up the 5G network? We don't know. See, if we had definitive studies showing the 5G was safe, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I heard that Rome has been infected, yes. I heard that this is traveling through Rome right now. They've got 200 cases. It's crazy. You're going to have Tuesday pancakes, really? Okay. Well, don't overeat on the carbos. Remember, soul child, you know, they kind of slow your system down. You know that. Well, the stroll is to get exercise, but the pancakes are not. If you overdo the pancakes, well, you'll be purging yourself. Yeah, you have to purge. The purge is beginning, really? Well, didn't they say that with the SARS flu too, Rodney? Along with the Zika virus and the swine flu and the H1N1. I mean, we've heard the same thing. It's like a roll. It's a psyops thing coming out of a traditional psyops they play annually. Oh, we're having the virus roundup for everyone to get a vaccination, everybody. Come one, come y'all. You'll be the freak show. You won't have to be seeing the freak show. Come and attend and see the man who has 2 penises. Yeah, you'll be the freak show. You want to show the Xeno? Are you going to copy it and put it on the internet for me? I'll play it for you if you make a copy of it off the stand-up. You want to record? Nobody has a copy of it on the internet. Yeah, they just pulled it off. You guys could put a lot of copies of it on the internet. I don't have a problem with you putting it on the internet. But the fact that they want to take it off is absurd.
Following, I want to talk to you about something even bigger.
Namely, the possibility that my entire SWAT video was pulled off of the internet. Can you imagine? Now, I'm about to play that video, so get your recording equipment ready to go, or take it off of the recorded broadcast on YouTube. But this will be your chance to actually take that footage and put it back out there. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not making fun of what happened. It's horrible what happened, but, you know, the fact that they got rid of it is absurd.
So I went outside and I immediately saw a sting operation.
Okay, get ready to watch this. Here it is on cue. 1, 2.
So I went outside and I immediately saw a sting operation in my neighborhood.
The SWAT team had a controversial politician surrounded Friday night. They raced to his house thinking he'd stabbed his girlfriend to death, but it was a prank call. Authorities are looking for a man who called in the fake hostage situation.
And that call resulted in a SWAT situation outside the home of a third-party presidential candidate on Whidbey Island. Cairo 7's Natasha Chen found out this is not the first time that candidate has been targeted.
Process was, she was ahead of me and she had to lay down. And then I had to lay down, and then they cuffed me.
One moment, David Sponheim was inside his home doing his nightly video chat with supporters. The next moment, he was on the ground in his driveway with SWAT surrounding him.
It was almost surreal.
It was all because of this call.
Okay, and you said you just stabbed your girlfriend?
Yes, I think she's dead. Her nieces are tied up in the bathroom right now.
Okay, well listen, what's your name?
Her name is David.
That wasn't him, but the caller gave dispatch Sponheim's address. This is not the first time Sponheim says he's been the victim of a hoax. Several years ago, he said there was a bomb threat. Then 2 months ago in June, someone called in a threat, again pretending to be him.
It's evil in the sense that it's a sick joke. It's a sick hoax that people are trying to, they think it's funny.
Even though Sponheim says he gave the sheriff deputies his phone number during the last hoax, the sheriff told me they somehow didn't store it in their system. Sponheim says detectives should have realized it was a prank because they even got on Sponheim's live video chat to ask his partner to call 911. I asked Sponheim whether he's being targeted because of videos he's done in blackface.
It's ironic people don't understand that this country was founded on and predicated on freedom of speech, and my right to impersonate the president was paramount.
But he and the sheriff are frustrated at how these pranks wasted important resources.
You can't possibly expect to get away with it. There's a lot of weirdos out there that are going to come out of the closet thinking that they can take a pot shot at somebody like me.
In Oak Harbor, Natasha Chen, Cairo 7 News.
There you have it. That was about 4 years ago, so it really, it's sad to say that swatting goes on quite a bit around the country every year, and many of those incidents turn out to have deaths. A lot of police brutality, people are killed unnecessarily, like the guy out there in the Midwest who was shot by a police officer. He had nothing to do with it. His house was just called randomly by a swatter, and the police arrived at the outside of the house and killed the guy. I think it was Wichita. I am glad I'm safe too. And I was surprised when it happened. It only took about 10 minutes for this whole thing to go down. We did the show continuously through the whole process. It didn't really interrupt anything, although I was traumatized. I acted like nothing had happened. And ironically, I was so calm when it was happening because I put myself in that Zen state. The guys around me were really frightened. The men carrying the AR-15s with the laser sightings on my head, they were standing here like, they're sweating like, well, I would say like, well, they sweat like bulls. Yeah. Very, very frightened. I was shocked. I've never seen people handle weapons with their, like weird. I've always been, I'm a highly trained expert in weapons. I don't really like to, freak out around weapons, but when I saw them holding the guns like that, I was like, and the laser sighting was all over my head. It's like, what's going on, guys? Did you get like 2 days of training at a local police academy? Well, your choice, soul child. You can fight with yourself or your controversy, whatever. Okay, so Trump is now trying to backpedal after making bad decisions over the past 5 or 6 weeks regarding the coronavirus. He's trying to backpedal now. It's unbelievable. Not only does he show how incompetent and unable to do anything, and what a lame duck president he is already, even though he's not even approaching a second term, he's reportedly furious after officials flew Americans with the coronavirus back to the U.S. from a quarantine cruise ship in Japan without telling him. I mean, this was all over the news, right? I was professional. I handled it very well. This is all over the news. Trump's furious. Infected people, coronavirus flew back without his permission. Oh, poor baby. It was all over the news. He could have easily stopped this from happening. Why would they even authorize this without the president's approval? So Trump is just a figurehead, a puppet.
during the Qing dynasty.
Oh, this is a Fox News thing on socialism in China. That might be interesting tonight. I might play that later. Yeah, so Trump acted furious even though he should have the power to stop such a thing. What, 4 weeks later, he's furious that come on. What kind of a president is furious after the fact? It was all over the news. What a joke. Remember Harry S. Truman, the buck stops here? Well, Trump would be, the buck isn't even here. I don't know what happened to the buck. It's not my fault. I mean, my God. What a joke. Furious. It was his fault that they came in here. I would have put a mandatory travel ban, would have prevented that. All right. You want to do more metal detecting with Mad Dog? Somebody said that Mark bought him this new metal detector. Mark has been giving people all kinds of things ever since he brought all kinds of money and censoring me on his show.
And this is my metal detector. Got my couple good finds.
As an expert in martial arts, but I am an expert. You're supposed to have respect for your sensei, right? Yeah, I know. Well, there's all kinds of techniques. Mixed martial arts, obviously, experts and Aikido experts and Taekwondo experts oftentimes accomplish their goal with the fewest as a straight line. Well, energy against them, you can be more effective. It's really about knowing which way to turn when somebody's striking you so that you can twist their arm back and break it with their own energy. I think Aikido is the best martial art because it is the most, Hapkido is good too, but it is the least amount of energy. I've known people with back problems, and in karate and Shotokan, they have to stand, but there's an inward stance where you put your legs, your knees into each other that give you the same amount of balance either way, as if you prevent it lowers your footprint. So you aren't as big of a target. So there's all these different things in a gun battle. Kwai Chang Caine. James Carville.
James Carville. First of all, James, I am more than familiar with the very formidable guys at Endymion down the street, so thank you for that mention. Secondly, go back. You just made the point very clearly that this race has, on the Democratic side, a clearly defined.
Well, we're going to see a complete change in tenor on Monday night.
Okay.
If we don't, then our field is really dumb. I mean, Bernie Sanders is the issue. Anytime you become the front runner, I remember when we were the front runner in '92, we got all the heat. As we should. The New York Times wrote a Whitewater story to get a single fact right, but at least they tried to cobble something together like they had a role to play in this. And we're plunging ahead. Meanwhile, Sanders is at 2. These are the kinds of facts that people have to be presented with. We've got to, and I see that 2/3 of the Nevada caucus goers really want to win the election. People, what are the risks that you're running by doing this? I think voters need to really be appraised of what's going on here. Hopefully these candidates have the skill and are able to do this. We got a week to go before South Carolina, and then 48 hours later, you had Super Tuesday, and things are going to be happening furious and fast, and we got to gear up for an entirely different race than what you've seen before. The tenor it has changed in this race. The ground has shifted. Strategic imperatives are now different. We're entering a different time, and it's a very compressed and short time that we're in this time frame. So people had better get real. These campaigns better stay up late. They better be thinking about how they're going to put forward what they're about, how they're going to deal with the debate, how they're going to allocate scarce media resources. And some people are just not going to make it for very long. And that's just the nature of presidential politics. So we got a lot of...
Well, I'm so sick. Every one of those debates was rigged. And even though Andrew Yang got in the debate with my ideas, and people asked him, where do you get your ideas? He said online. Same with Amy Klobuchar when she used my wording, double the Pell Grants, in the last debate or two debates ago. She said she gets her ideas online. They're all saying they get their ideas online. I mean, I'm not even able to get 1 second of media time in America, yet they have a free ride all the way to the debates. And you got Pete Buttigieg, who literally thinks that he's the answer to God's greatest gay men prayers. How can he be Christian and gay at the same time? A lot of people are having a hard time with that. And then what about those 3 years he can't talk about when he was in the CIA? What's that about? And why is South Bend a disaster zone? It's wiped out. The whole city is almost shutting down because of his tenure as mayor. Can you imagine what he would do to America? He would turn America into a FEMA camp. He had this idea of getting rid of 1,000 homes in 1,000 days. He leveled most of the city. It's crazy. Yeah, and I want to warn all of you gay men in the room who are obviously here because you're attracted to me. I'm a heterosexual, and I consider it sexual harassment for you to attack any one of us who are heterosexual with your gayness. Pushing your gayness on us. Don't go after the people who are heterosexual in this room. They're upset, noticeably. Final Dream says, Dave, tell the gays to stop attacking. So, you gay guys or girls, whatever, this is not the place to hit on each other. Some of you are, I believe, a new category. Hopelessly gay incels. Or you're omnisexual. You don't even care what sex you're going to have because you'll never have it. You're so frightened of that first encounter of fear of rejection, you're never going to have a sexual relationship. Period. You've been in lockstep with your own personal self-gratification all your life. You're not going to leave and go, but you're fantasizing about everything. Yeah, see? Bisexual, omnisexual, trisexual, not trisexual, whatever sexual. I'm not a virgin, no. I'm just a person who's never had unprotected sex. I just don't know why this room has to evolve into the sex talk on a Conspiracy Monday show. Well, you non-homos have to understand, I'm on your side. I'm a little bit upset myself that people like Rock Hudson tried to hit on me 6 weeks before he died. No, never. Yeah. I've never had unprotected sex. Why would I? I started having relations when I knew that, I didn't want a baby at my first sex experience was a month before I turned 18. And then I decided that I didn't want to have a baby. I was always going to use condoms. That was a big thing. I do. I care. Yes, because the thing is, I don't know any heterosexual that's openly trying to convert homosexuals to being straight. I've never met there might be a guy trying to convert a woman lesbian to being straight. That's possible. But most gays want to convert heterosexuals. It's like a one-way idea. They just simply want to convert heterosexuals. It's a turn-on for them. So this is a big thing. Totally one-sided, and there's no way you can dispute that, no matter how politically correct you are, how tolerant you are of the homosexual views. You see, I'm not a Democrat, I'm a centrist. I don't stand around weakening a political view because I want to acquire aberrant, deviant behavior views as a main part of the Democratic Party. I don't want that. Let's talk about other conspiracies. Scientists have discovered the first known animal that doesn't breathe. And strangely enough, it looks just like the coronavirus. Wow. It doesn't breathe. Look at that. Spores of the parasite Seminicola swim under a microscope. When the parasitic blob known as Hendigoia seminicola sinks its pores into the flesh of a tasty fish, it does not hold its breath. That's because the Seminicola is the only known animal on Earth that does not breathe. Well, is that special? Isn't that super special? Who cares? See what I mean? Scientists are spending all their time. Of course, I'm not a flat earther. You'd have to be mentally retarded to be a flat earther. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I offend you? Well, maybe you are mentally retarded. Did it ever occur to you you are mentally retarded? Ask your doctor. Doctor, am I mentally retarded? Guess 1-4, what are you saying? I'm not mentally conflicted. No, I don't like gay men hitting on me. How is that mentally conflicted? I mean, there's no conflict there. I don't personally have an opinion about you wanting to have gay sex in the privacy of your own home. I don't care. It's not my problem. I don't have any bisexual urges. Xenu? Yeah, that's a ban, #1 ban, yeah. Xenitril, that's just fantasy on your part. Lighten up on that.
Promise me one thing, we get in the new house.
Yeah, here's McMillan and wife. This guy, Rock Hudson, was one of the most attractive and sexy leading men in the whole country, but when he's walking up to you, dying of AIDS, looking at you like, that's kind of weird, you know?
Okay, what? Get him to set up the bed first.
See? He basically had, this thing that he could exude that he was a straight man, but he was not. He was openly, in the closet as a homosexual. Yeah, see, Rock had a lot of conflict. I don't have that conflict. Whatever. The fact that I'm 60 years old coming up in April should affect a lot of your views of my beauty. Aside from the fact that I rely on my fruit enzyme spray to stay youthful. Getting older is in the mindset of everyone. We all have this clock going on in our heads. Well, I extracted my clock, and I no longer have a human metronome controlling my destiny. I have expunged my sense of time. No, Rock actually, he just walked up to me and he was like, it was creepy weird. It was the creepiest, weirdest thing. I just got this weird, creepy vibe, and I looked over and I was like right next to him. And no one knew he had AIDS at that time. And I had to do a double take. It's like, is that Rock Hudson? And sure enough, it was. Yeah, Rock was a film sex symbol. That's why he hid in the closet in order to retain that. No kidding. What do you write copy for Brain Dead International? Guess 680? I mean, seriously, of course he was hiding his homosexuality. Look at Anderson Cooper. It took him that long. 7 years before he outed himself as an openly gay man. I'd like to help black people. I've got a plan to meet the Black Caucus every single month. That's right. And we'll talk about real solutions for the inner cities in America that are unfortunately a dead end for a lot of black people. The education system is a starting point. We're going to have an after-school program in every elementary school in the cities, like Chicago. After school, where you meet and police officers that are on duty, but in plain clothes. And they'll have games, they'll play caroms and maybe tetherball with the kids. And we want to make local police friendly at the grassroots level. That's what I hope to do for the inner cities, because kids need a place that they can hang out after school. And to emulate police officers after school, we'll pay the police officer his full salary. It'll be like 2 hours of donated time, and we'll rotate. Black Caucus. We'll meet with the Black Caucus once a month, and we'll discuss some of the evolving issues among African Americans. But dealing with growth of jobs is key, and one of the things that we're going to offer is legalization of marijuana. That's a big part of our plan. We have a plan to legalize marijuana at every level, offering legalization up in cities right now like Illinois, Chicago, Illinois. They're going to be opening up shops. We're going to embrace this idea. And hopefully the Chicago crime rate will drop a little bit when people start consolidating their territory. A lot of gang members fight over territory. And if they have their own legitimate marijuana sales store that's monitored by the state to make sure they aren't selling crack or meth behind the counter with videotape, I think we could find a lot better black on black crime statistics dropping. We don't want to see people killing each other over the turf where they sell their drugs. A lot of Trump's golf courses could not be weed farms because most of them are contaminated with pesticides and herbicides, Fishweir. Almost all golf courses around the country are contaminated with Roundup. Your chances of dying from, like Paul Williams, I don't know if he was an avid golfer or not, but Paul Williams got, this disease, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it turns out this disease has been studied to be linked to Roundup. Not Paul Williams, sorry. Wrong guy. Paul Allen, an American business magnate that died fairly young. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And you've got to wonder, did he spend his time hanging out with Roundup and Weed Eater? Because there's a definite link they found between Roundup and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I don't know. I don't know anything about his personal life, but anybody spraying Roundup or on golf courses a lot has a high risk for this. Roundup has been declared a carcinogen in California. Okay, so we've got a bunch of articles that are indicative of very seriously messed up problems with the coronavirus. There are some cities like Costa Mesa, California. They are suing. California City is suing to stop the relocation of coronavirus patients. They were going to try to bring some of the people that Trump had allowed to come into the country with the Japanese cruise liner being evacuated. They're sending them directly into an area
in the life of the coronavirus.
Yeah, they're sending them into an area called Fairview Development Center. Fairview Development Center was not even approved for anyone like this for another couple of years. They said it would require 2 years and $25 million to make it properly habitable. So Fairview is an inappropriate area to put these people. But the California relocation is just crazy. They're forcing people to be around these people, like at March Air Force Base. Travis now has a large number of cases. Travis Air Force Base. March Air Force Base. 2. 1. If you could believe these stats, 2. So he brought them in if they become symptomatic and potentially could die. I think we should quarantine longer than 14 days, that's for sure. Zenetril lives in the country. You have a deer feeder on the property. Lots of deer stay outside near my home. Wow, we have that in common. Yeah, I do too. Just the other day, I woke up in the morning and I walked out my backyard, 10 feet away, I saw 5 deer. Isn't that amazing? It's such a cool thing to look at deer when they're, just having fun. 5 does. 2 of them were with their mother, and one of them was pretending like she was really, a great runner. And man, they put on a show for me. I had this one deer. She must have been, no more than a year old. She just took off around the circle of my house and made it to the other side within she took off. It was like, boom, she's back. Then went all the way around this huge house I have here. You had 7 does out in front of yours, no bucks, yeah. Well, there you go. It's a beautiful sight, isn't it, to have, and we have beautiful birds here. We live in an area that could easily be a bird watcher's heaven. I used to meet bird watchers that came from other areas of the country just to go look at the birds in my area. It's weird. Anyway, this little girl turned into a woman, and she decided that it's called mindlesslydiapered.com. And she decided to spend her life in a diaper. Yeah. So here she is, living her life, free will and all that. Living like a woman in a diaper. So, what's wrong with that? Is this snowflake gone crazy kind of thing? No, nobody fitted bed any. I think this is a case of free will. I believe that free will can take you to places. I said this earlier in the pre-show. When I first met this little blonde girl, she looked like she was 12 years old when I was in college. And it turns out people say, hey, yeah, go meet this girl. She's, her name is Nancy, and she's really, she's into voices. And I went over to her room at Sproul Hall at UCLA, room 215. And I walked in and I said, hey, my name's David. Hi, my name's Nancy. It's like, oh, hi, Nancy. And I thought I'd be meeting a college student. Well, she wasn't 12. She was 20. Turns out she just looked young. Yeah. Her name was Nancy Cartwright, and she was playing with her dollies on the floor. And I'll never forget this moment in my life to this day. And she looked up and she says, my name's Nancy. Would you like to play with my dolls? And I'm going, okay. Not really. So what's your doll's name? One's named Bart. I mean, she literally was playing. She developed Bart way in advance of The Simpsons. Anyway, that was Nancy Cartwright. Anyway, my point is, even if you have this desire to be strange, like this girl does, mindlesslydiapered.com, she's turned it into a lifestyle. Just like Nancy turned her playing with the dolls into voices like Bart Simpson. She's made over $60 million, Nancy has. Who knows what this YouTube star could do? Now, I don't know how old she is. She's like 20 or something. But, I mean, I'm not trying to tell people you can't live your life the way you want to. I mean, who has the right to take this girl's dream of living in a diaper away from her? I don't know Nancy Cartwright's life. All I know is I met Nancy Cartwright briefly when I was, 17. She was 20. She looked 12. So you never know with people. And who am I to judge that she was, playing with her dolls? She became one of the richest voiceover artists in history. Not the Cartwrights. No, that was a different group from Bonanza. Unrelated. It is degenerate. I'm not saying it's not. It's regressive. It's symptomatic of a snowflake mentality. But hey, if you guys want to do something and you love it, don't deny yourself. Seriously. It could turn into a profitable career. She might become a YouTube star. Mindlesslydiapered.com. No, not Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Cartwright. You missed the story earlier. Of course she's liberal. She's a Scientologist. But the point I'm making is Nancy Cartwright had a wonderful career as Bart, made lots of money, did what she wanted to do with her voice. I mean, how can you hold that against her? It wouldn't be, I wasn't okay with Nancy being that way. I never went back to the dorm room at Sproul Hall and said, "Hi, Nancy, you want to play? My name's David and I do voices too." But had I done that, I probably would have been, worth a couple $100 million in Hollywood right now off voice work. Had I hung out with her at her room playing dolls, I mean, had I spent my time in college doing that, my career would have taken off in voiceover. You don't know. But what happened to me in voiceover was pretty atypical, pretty typical of people. They tried to force me to snort cocaine, and I refused. And I got blacklisted in Hollywood. Even though my vocal range is greater than any human being on earth, I was completely shunned by the industry. Yeah, Nancy's now worth 70 million, Zenatril. Yeah, it was 66 million earlier. But having been shunned by the industry for so many years, I said, I'm moving away. I moved to Seattle, away from LA. I couldn't believe it. Because I wouldn't do cocaine, they wouldn't hire me. Pandemic Theater, Act 201, sell the story. So these folks are going to they're going to be discussing the possibility that we're being played with a psyops to make us all fear this terrible virus, forcing the world to have a vaccination. Play that tonight. Thanks, Scissor Fight. Logic before authority has it. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you Larry Sinclair and a brief moment he had with Barack Obama in a limousine performing oral sex while doing crack cocaine.
Where Senator Obama exited the limousine with $250, which was provided to him by me. Returned a short while later with an 8-ball of cocaine, which he gave to me. I did ingest a couple of lines of cocaine, and shortly thereafter, Senator Obama produced a glass cylinder pipe and packet of crack cocaine from his pocket. Obama then smoked the crack cocaine. I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine, after which I had the driver take me to my hotel, the Comfort Suites, Gurnee, Illinois.
So we had a confession. Zenatril said that, "Dave, I used to smoke meth to deal with the pain of losing my best friend when I was 16. It messed up my teeth." I bet. Smoking meth can do that, I'm sure, Zenatril. A lot of you have... I've met a woman in the 1980s that had done so much methamphetamine, snorted it, that she had burned a hole through the top of her palate in her mouth. So whenever she had milk, it would come out her nose. And it was the weirdest thing. And she was in surgery. They were doing skin grafts to try to get it to grow again. It's just like, God, meth is such a disastrous thing. It'll burn a hole in your roof of your mouth. Burned right through the nose into her mouth. It's a full hole through the roof of her mouth. I don't do, I never cared about building an acting career or even building a voiceover career. That never really intrigued me. I ran into a number of people that were incredibly messed up in Hollywood. The inevitable problem is you run into creative directors that are through the roof weird. I mean, you can't work with people like that. Well, you know, inner thigh problems, sharp shooting pains could be, I mean, you'd have to talk to a doctor and have an ultrasound of your cardio done, but it could be a precursor to a blood clot. I don't know, I'm not trying to freak you out. What you can do as a remedy is just take a baby aspirin every day. If you're worried about that, see if that helps. Those things are really cheap, and you know, buy a big box of baby aspirin, one a day, 88 milligrams. Doesn't hurt you. In fact, they say it helps your cardio. But women have a high risk of cardio problems, more than men. Yet they're not treated the same way. It's unfair. More men have bypass surgeries than women by far, yet women have more cardiology problems. Don't have any comments on that, Johnny? You stayed up for a while till 6 a.m.? You need to go back to bed again, yeah. Yeah, well, we went to the moon in the eyes of Nixon. The moon theory is pretty weird. The theory is based on the fact that 3 news networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC, announced the landing of the moon. Walter Cronkite made a big deal about it. I saw it. Many people saw it live on the screen. And now we're finding out that they collaborated with Stanley Kubrick, the guy who created 2001: A Space Odyssey in 1968. I mean, the guy that made 2001: A Space Odyssey, beautiful movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, it's really, even today, it's still a great movie. It was done by the best director of all times in this area, Stanley Kubrick. And after the moon landing was shown to the world, Stanley Kubrick went into hiding and never ever left his home, hardly at all. He had people bring things into his house. He never left his home because they believe that he secretly feared being killed for what he knew about the moon landing. We played Buzz Aldrin's statement recently on the show for you, where he said to a little girl who asked him why we haven't gone back to the moon, he said, because we didn't go in the first place, basically. Because we didn't go. That's why we haven't gone back. We never went. He said that publicly. I thought Clockwork Orange was his best film, yeah. I like The Shining, too. The Shining, they say, was an allegory to what he couldn't talk about regarding the moon landing. There have been some experts on the subject that have done this, talked about The Shining in allegory, and it's pretty interesting how all the numbers were changed. The book, The Shining, was completely changed by Stanley Kubrick so that he could fit all these little clues in, that he knew more than he was letting on. He knew he couldn't tell people that we hadn't gone to the moon. He knew that. It was considered taboo to talk about it, but there was this theory that Nixon had killed the original moonwalkers, the ones that had pretended to be Neil Armstrong. That they only had a group of about 5 or 6 actors at the studio in the UK when they filmed it.
As being, they're gigantic. All of the things that one could imagine that Stanley Kubrick would have. And then at about 58 minutes in the film is the famous scene where Danny's playing with his trucks and he stands up and he's wearing the Apollo 11 sweater with a rocket take.
Okay, this is all kinds of allusions to, see, this was in The Shining. Little boy was wearing Apollo 11 shirt, and I'm going to play this for you tonight, as well as the other video that I promised to play you. Yeah, so we'll play that in the evening. The Dow Jones got hit with a 1,079-point drop today. A little bit over a 3.5% drop in the stock market values. And the 30 stock, basically the Dow Jones plunging below 28,000 underscores the rising concern over coronavirus hitting several nations. Now Italy, Iran, and South Korea. Very, very foreboding concerns about this. But again, it could be a psyops, just to push us toward vaccinations. Let's not forget that. This has gone on full time before, yeah. Full Metal Jacket was one of his best too, yeah. The last movie he made, Eyes Wide Shut, was filmed at the Rothschild's actual home. And the weird thing about the movie Eyes Wide Shut, played with Tom Cruise, most of the movie was cut on the director's table in the editing room. An hour and a half of the movie was completely cut out because they say that Kubrick did such a good job of profiling the corruption and the elitists and how they have these secret meetings like Bohemian Grove and special sacrificial rites where they have all kinds of Luciferian activities. Were so actually fact-based that one person was named in there as one of the high priests or high witches, if you will, in the sect of people that are super wealthy. One person was so named that an entire 1.5 hours of the video were thrown out because it revealed too much. I was never an extra in this film. But if you haven't seen Eyes Wide Shut, it's one of the best portrayals of the dark, I guess, black nobility that still exists today, worshiping dark forces like Lucifer. And I guess if you go down conspiracy row and talk about things like, you're going to have to run into this Luciferianism that's rampant. Now, there's a group of people at the highest level of the UN that have an organization called Lucis Trust. And they are the ones that set up the meetings of the UN. They're the ones that are instrumental in forming a new world order. And on their website, the Lucis Trust has the description as to how their name came into existence and how it does have a derivation to the name Lucifer. Now, here is a link to the Lucis Trust site describing their relationship to Lucifer and the esoteric meaning of Lucifer. You can check it out yourself, but you can find out that Lucis is a big UN operation. They're a roster level operation that does whatever they can to promote Lucifer. So how much of this is fiction and how much of this is real? I mean, it looks like Luciferians are inhabiting the UN. I never understood why Trump was so soft on the UN and hard on NATO. I couldn't understand that. Trump seemingly, acts like a little pussy when he's around the people at the UN. He kisses their ass, but when he's around NATO, he talks down to our allies. It's weird. Oh, I know. Well, that's even if we could get to the moon, Zenatril. The people that believe in the moon hoax believe we never even got there, that we never actually went to the moon. Even with unmanned vehicles, we can't get there because we can't breach the Van Allen belts, a very thick layer of radiation that cannot be breached by humanity. Human beings can't make it through the Van Allen belts and come back. The monkey testing found out that they burn upon entrance into the ionosphere. No, we're not related. That's not true. It is weird that we've been financing Europe. That's because we're tied into the World Bank, der Viking. We're connected at the hip to the World Bank through the Federal Reserve. Not Van Halen belts, Van Allen belts. Let me show you. A picture tells 1,000 words. The Van Halen belts were like so cool. We should use this soundbite thing.
How tall are you, Private? I bet they regret that.
That's from the Full Metal Jacket soundboard. Yeah. Well, isn't that super special? I'm pulling up my picture of the Van Halen belts. They're kind of like this. Radiation belts, plasma sphere. It makes it harder and harder to believe that we actually left the planet. You know, and then when you go for a search online of the picture of the Earth, just write Earth pic and look on Google. And you look up all the images of the Earth pic. And this is kind of what got me to believe that we never went to the moon, because we never took high definition color photography up there and took a picture of the Earth from behind. But here's just a standard search for the Earth. You can see every one of them, including the flat Earth, is mentioned right here. Every one of these is an artistic rendition of the Earth. None of these are actual photographs. And you're saying, well, wait a second, they must have taken a picture at one point and looked back from the moon and... No, nothing. Well, surely if I go maybe 1,000 in, I'll see one. No. They're all artistic renditions. You can take and Google for hours, go into every single page of the Earth, and you'll never find an actual photograph of the Earth.
Yesterday, CNN wrote an entire piece predicting the president would be shocked that he can't eat steak and burgers while in India. It's so absurd. Not only is it absurd, it's bad for the country over time. CNN has dozens of...
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is the thing we're going to kick off the show with right away, which is, this could be what's really going on. Are we being tracked? Starting in 10 minutes. Yeah, this is from Scissor Fights. He made a great donation. We'll see if the moon hoax theory plays out, or excuse me, the coronavirus theory plays out. Zoom in on you with Google? I don't need to. No, if anything, that is a sideways picture of the Earth from a satellite within our ionosphere. You know, I'm likely to believe that that's a picture of the Earth from the side, but there's not one whole picture of the Earth. That's my point. Nothing from the moon. Nothing from the perspective of any telescope that's in the skies facing out. Anyway, to make a long story short and encapsulate everything, we've been lied to. In order to cover up that lie, the government has allowed the CIA to spin stories left and right on the internet. And then censor Carlson. All right, I'll play that later. Thank you. Well, the idea of a one world government is being pitched by the New World Order. But I'm not in favor of the New World Order. I'm a person who's anti-New World Order. I believe in the nation-state model because it's the only model of government that's ever succeeded and worked for centuries and millennial. Since the Greeks developed this concept, and Plato's Republic was written, this world has become a living testing ground for social and political encounters. And never has there been a case where one leader has taken over the world. And that's my premise for claiming that a new world order is impossible. Plus, it's not good for everyone. There's nothing good about a new world order that forces people to ship products that are so crappy when they get to you. They're sprayed with, various Certifresh products to make them seem safe, when in fact they're incredibly worthless. I've had peaches at the market that have been sitting there for 6 months. You can still pay $3.99 a pound for, and they still taste like cardboard. So nothing about the New World Order is leading to something better for us. It's the concept that they're trying to push, where they believe global governance will somehow erase the tensions between nations. The tensions between nations are by design to keep people from moving into each other's nation and dragging on everyone's resources. The nation-state model prevents that and offers a regional remedy to problems facing each individual area of the world. For us to get rid of that and to be amalgamated into a new world order would only give the power of the world governance in the hands of a few people, and we know that people are corrupt by nature. How could we ever have benevolent people ruling the world? It's impossible. So this new world order is the construct of what is called the old monarchy rebranding itself. The old monarchy, run by people like Jacob Rothschild, these people have been pushing, things like the Balfour Declaration since 1914. They've been pushing that. 1917. They've been pushing the goal of Israel taking over the Middle East. That's been their goal, their directive. And they've set their greater sights on a new world order. So what these people are up to, why they're doing this, apparently power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it's created a kind of a devilish mentality in this subset of people who have been inheriting trillions of dollars from their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. So this mentality has permeated the world, and these people are essentially among the inner players of this cabal that wants to control all countries. And we're trying desperately to reveal that Trump is working for these people. But you Republicans don't want to understand that the Russian oligarchs answer to Jacob Rothschild. He has way more money than they do. So these people who push a new world order are absolutely, their intent is, like I said earlier, two things. Immortality. They have one thing in their mind: immortality and depopulation. They want to get rid of 90% of the population, and they want to replace it with a small portion of people that they believe can be managed better than what we are doing now. The very people that profited from producing garbage in landfills want us to be blamed for that. And they want to then cash in on the rest of the Earth's resources for the rest of eternity. Now, they also want to seek immortality. They know that it may not be possible, so they've sold people a bill of goods about transhumanism, where you could just be part of the bigger Borg, just one of the many, kind of like the gang, They somehow believe that they could, by implanting chips in people's brains, that somehow you will be immortal. They're selling the elites on this idea. It's absurd, isn't it? Well, anybody could, be part of the Borg and claim that, we're just, little insects populating the planet. They're trying to dehumanize humanity and turn us into robots. I say no. I am different. I am human. I am an individual. But no, they want us to turn all of us into this generic mindset of being a robot. But clearly I'm not. He's gone. I mean, there's something wrong with him. I think doing too much crack could lead to schisms in the brain. Well, Charles Montgomery Burns has never reached out to me. Right. Well, they haven't just tried Marxism, Dave. Now they're going to do it with technology because the ideology failed. Oh, they're still pushing Marxism, believe me. They've got puppets and shills like Bernie Sanders to pitch Marxism. Sure. Yeah, NASA's recruiting astronauts for Mars.
If you're not...
Got another video on that tonight. Thanks. PK censored. Nastronaut. Yeah, so if you want to be an astronaut, I guess you have to have 1,000 hours of flight experience on a jet. Maybe I should tell Sarah she could work as a stewardess, maybe. Get trained as a stewardess or something. Do stewardesses or flight attendants, as they're called now, do they get, 1,000 hours of flight credits to become a NASA space scientist and crisis actress? Well, this is the thing. They don't need us. They can replace us with robots. If we don't formulate a political movement in the next 3 to 5 years, because I've been doing this for 11 years, if we don't formulate a real strong challenge to the two-party system, they will hijack the two-party system and essentially eliminate all of your rights. But depopulation is just their target. Automation is really their goal. See, they don't need us anymore. They don't need the money that we have. They don't need us to buy their stupid products. They can replace us with automation. And if immortality is not achievable through organ transplants, they are saying right now that there are people walking the face of the earth that will live to be 1,000 years old right now. I'm going to put this as gene splicing. They're already developing ways in which they can create organs by using pig organs. Believe it or not, they can take pig organs and clean them out completely, leaving their substructure in a semi-biotic environment, and then refeed it with a nanoparticle that's grown from human cells. They're going to be able to replace your organ with your organ that's been grown in a petri dish on the side. That's coming in the next few years, if it's not already here. So gene splicing from cloned organs, gene splicing from pig organs that are refed your cells, so there's no rejection. This is like we're right on the verge of that. But the worst possible theory about immortality is that these people are drinking blood derived from children that are tortured, a thing called adrenochrome. Isn't that incredibly seriously messed up? Well, if this is the goal, I got to tell you, these ideas, if we don't stop them with an anti-New World Order plan, they'll literally put all of us in cages and pretty much execute us like Hitler did. It's just a matter of time. So the more you sit there and do nothing, the sooner you're going to end up getting zip-tied and carted away to the FEMA camps, or force vaccinated and chipped, and then carted away to the FEMA camps. So because they don't need us anymore, they want to get rid of us. And you have to accept that these people have the power to do that. The means, the mode, operandi, they can do whatever they need to do. We're just simply in the way. Yeah. You heard about the Bernie's tax plan that doesn't make any sense? I know. The thing is, Bernie wants to give everybody a living wage of $15 an hour, a minimum wage, and nobody knows how he's going to get through with the Republicans to get them to agree. I've got a living wage built into my infrastructure bank idea so we can sidestep minimum wage law. But either way, Bernie wants to push $15 an hour on everybody, and then once they total that up, if they work full time, they'll have $31,000 a year. Problem is, Bernie wants to tax 52% of anybody making over $29,000 a year. So by Bernie's own methodology and ridiculous non-math that he uses, Bernie will be taking 50% of your salary if you have a living wage. Yeah. Well, changing his desires right now, Kiefer Boy, at this point, no, I'm not making that up. I have math to prove it. Here it is. Taking Bernie's assessment, this is from the Mitchell report, I'm going to do a little extra time here just to explain this to you. Bernie's offering $15 an hour at 40-hour weeks is $600 times 52 weeks per year is $31,200. Bernie Sanders wants free health care for all and was asked how he would pay for it. His answer was raise taxes to 52% on anybody making over $29,000 per year. That means 52% of 31.2 is $16,224. That means your take-home pay is $14,976 with his full health care plan, meaning your hourly wage will be $7.20 an hour. Thank you. We're not going to take any new BS stories out of Bernie's mouth while he's been told there is no way he can finance this. He continues to manipulate, maneuver behind the scenes and doing after the question, he does damage control with this nonsense coming out of your link. I'm not going to sit there and listen to it.
Where in the hell are you from anyway, Private? Was it you scroungy little fuck?
Okay, thank you for the Full Metal Jacket soundboard. Okay, this concludes another fantastic nonstop discussion about conspiracies, the will of the elites to destroy the world and kill us all off, and their secret obsession with immortality and how they worship drinking of blood. Any other questions? Great. Well, we certainly covered the territory tonight. This was quite a show. Yeah, Bernie is a joke. I don't know anyone who would possibly believe that Bernie could possibly deliver a plan that would make any sense financially. When he wants to charge us $30 trillion after already ripping us off for trillions, up to $5 trillion on Obamacare alone. So here we are getting another line of crap coming from another BS artist in the Democratic Party, pretending like he knows what he's talking about. When asked, Anderson Cooper couldn't get him to commit to anything as to how he actually is going to pay for these programs. All he said was Medicare for all is going to cost $30 trillion. We're already $23 trillion in debt. How are we going to cover the expanded cost of health care that the Democrats keep pitching us? They don't have any ideas like mobile medical units in every city like we do. Vincent Price, The Last Man on Earth. That sounds like a good movie tonight. Anticipating the possibility that, Earth is dwindling and dying, and Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Well, it's been fun. It really has, but it hasn't been real fun. It's been real and it's been fun.
Emily.
So we will go from this to that and start the film loops and the videos for all of you to watch. I watch them with you in the evenings too, so hang in there. No, sex toys won't be included in your healthcare plan, nor will extremely weird hocus pocus witch doctors. Yeah, you're not going to be allowed to come in here anymore, Kiefer boy. We don't support your communist thinking. Yeah. If you come in here as anything again, I'll ban you under every name that comes in here. Don't pitch the communist Bernie Sanders in this room. There are people that'll stay Trump supporters if they're told they're going to be taxed by this scumbag. And let's not forget that Bernie Sanders is all screwed up. He hates Israel. But for some reason, he likes money. And he likes the donations that come into his campaign that got him to rig the election and throw it to Hillary last time. So I don't trust anything Bernie throws out there. He and his wife, Jane, are into money, just like Trump. If you really are coming in to try to spam us, I will keep you out all night long. Yeah, if you want to get communistic, just move to Venezuela, man. Johnny, that's just an irrelevant question. Really? Okay, I'll add that link. More depopulation. Okay, here's the video that was brought to us by Scissor Fight earlier, called "This Could Be What's Really Going On. Are We Being Tracked?" In the meantime, thank you for coming in and enjoying the show. We'll be back tomorrow with Truth Tuesday. I'm David Sponheim, also known as Mr. Right, signing off. Take care.
My feet, my heart stops to beat, cause you make me melt away. My Mr. Right, too good. Just turn my world around, cause you're the peace I find. We found. You sweep me off my feet, my heart stops to beat, cause you make me melt away. My feet, my heart stops to beat, cause you make me melt away. You're my Mr. Right, my Mr. Right, too good.